making their claim, anticipating this race for days. 200,000 people are here as an eyewitness to watch the world's best drivers go nearly 200 miles an hour for almost $7 million. This is no place for the apprentice. American Idol's about to take center stage, and our stage, the Hollywood Hotel, next to Victory Lane here at the Great American Speedway, as we welcome you to NASCAR on Fox. And alongside with Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. Nice to have you with us, where America gathers every weekend for racing.
Hey, partner.
Yes?
Your hat was a little bit rough, so I brought you a new one right there from the American Hat Company.
Good. That's very nice. I appreciate it. But as long as you didn't give me that necktie.
Well, you know that rope around your neck.
You had one around my neck for a long time, Waltrip.
Is that an ascot, by the way? Don't say kiss my ascot. That wouldn't be very nice. But we do want to point out the ribbons we are wearing, a symbol for child abuse awareness. So do your part if you can. And we're certainly proud to wear these throughout the race and throughout the month. All right, let's talk about the race today. High-speed adventure. What should we look for?
Well, a lot of things. But, you know, one thing about this joint is it's not big if you don't make it big. And they have made this huge. That $6.7 million purse got a lot of folks' attention.
And it doesn't get any better, the fact that Bobby Labonte, one of Texas's favorite son, is starting on the pole. How much bigger can that get here in Texas?
And certainly Terry, his brother, the only brother tandem to have won a points championship. All right, appropriate on a track this fast. But a driver nicknamed Rocket Man, the defending champ, Ryan Newman, who won the most races last year, has run well this year, but so far he's yet to pull into victory lane.
I mean, you think about Ryan Newman. He's on the gas, baby.
Newman on the outside. It's Newman, the fastest cat in town. Ryan Newman wins it.
Adios, boys. See you at the Hacienda.
Joining us live down on the track, 26-year-old Ryan Newman, one of the Gillette young guns. And thanks for joining us, Ryan. Getting ready to go here. Are you a little bit like most of the drivers, a little bit nervous before you jump in the car at this point?
Actually, I'm a little disappointed. I put Bergen's belt on and I realized he's a little bit skinnier than I am.
and a little bit older, too. It was this race last year that launched your successful run. Are you, would you say, a more conservative, big-picture driver this year?
I wouldn't say more conservative by any means. We haven't found victory lane yet. That doesn't make us conservative, but the Gillette Young Gun's been 6 for 6, and we're part of that program, so we're going to try to make it 7 for 7. And all we can do is try. It's all I've ever said is we can try to get to victory lane with this Altel Dodge.
Hey, Ryan, it's DW. How's married life, buddy?
It's pretty good.
How's things going with you and Chrissy?
Really good. I feel better about the race car because we're married, because I got this ring here on the left hand, and as you know, it helps turn the car down into the corner.
And steer you in other directions, too.
Reminds me of my ring.
Yeah, I understand that. Hey, Ryan, this right here is Hammond. I got a question as far as a lot of the drivers are complaining about the tires this year. Have you struggled with that any so far this season?
I wouldn't say struggle. It's just a matter of learning it. You know, it's not the same tire as last year by any means. It seems like it's a more durable tire, and it's a different tire by construction. But you know, it's different for everybody, and the teams that are adjusting to it the fastest are the ones that are getting to victory lane.
Hey, one more thing. You got the weekend off coming up. Where are you going fishing at?
Home.
Home.
Yeah, we vacation at home.
He's married now, Hammond. He got to go home.
All right, Ryan, thanks for the time. So close to the race. Good luck. We'll be watching today, all right?
Thanks, guys. Have fun.
All right, take care. We appreciate Ryan Newman joining us. And after last week's finish in Bristol, we thought this track might turn into a retaliation raceway. It's something we'll watch closely all day in today's race. NASCAR already watching closely. Jamie McMurray fined $10,000, put on probation through August 31st for intentionally bumping Matt Kenseth after the race. Also, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fined $10,000, put on probation until June 1st, and penalized with a loss of 25 points in the standings for deliberately spinning out, creating a caution when his car was about to go a lap down, and then openly admitting it.
There he goes. There he goes.
He spins around. Yeah, I believe he's going to stay on the lead lap, and he will, because remember, the field is frozen. The field is frozen. He dropped the caution that he needed, and it worked out just perfect.
Well, you know, you make your own luck, and he just made a whole pot full of it.
Junior trying to put a forward spin on it. He's with our Steve Burns.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I know you're focused on today's race, but your reaction to the fine and the penalty and your thoughts afterwards, what have you learned from it?
I learned next time I got a problem with my car to take it to pit road. But, you know, just I definitely understand NASCAR's view and their position on the situation and the integrity of the sport. And
it's just, that's just what I came up with at that moment. Probably wasn't the best plan, but it's what I came up with, and can't change it now. So we'll just have to move past, and hopefully, when it's 10 races to go and they've kind of erased the points deficit, it won't be a huge factor for us.
All right, best of luck today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's go back to Chris.
All right, thanks, Steve and Junior. All right, penalty appropriate, too harsh? What do you think?
Well, it wasn't for what he did. It's for what he said he did, and that's where the problem is. Listen, I've gotten in trouble with my big mouth with NASCAR many a times, and that's exactly why he got in trouble. You don't stick it in their face.
It took him 3 days to assess this. Man. NASCAR is still looking over your, I think, tapes to assess you. How about, Junior came out ahead, though, when you figure the points break.
He really did, Chris. They took 25 away from him, but the way it worked out, if he'd lost those 3 laps, he would have only got 85 points. So when you do the math, he wound up being 25 points to the good.
All right, perception out there that Junior's the golden boy. We know he's popular, that he gets preferential treatment from NASCAR. Anything to that?
In my opinion, all superstars get preferential treatment. I mean, I don't care what sport you're in. If you're Michael Jordan, if you're a wide receiver, I don't care what you do. If you're a superstar, they're gonna look at you just a little bit differently, and they look at Dale Jr. a little bit different.
They may look at him a little bit differently. You keep talking like that, NASCAR is going to make him a point of interest, because when he makes a mistake, they're going to burn him next time because of you.
Because of me?
Yeah. Leave him out of this.
I didn't do anything.
All right, although he was penalized, those points, look at Dale Jr. remains in 3rd place behind Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, the big winner in the points, so moving up as you look at the top 10. But remember now, other drivers in the hunt here, the drivers like Ricky Craven, Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, they're more than 400 points behind the leader. They would not be eligible for the 10-race championship if the season ended today, so those guys need to get it in gear. All right, in the McDonald's drive-through pit championship fueled by Powerade, Sterling Marlin's crew the quickest on pit road. Last week, they win the $20,000 prize. The overall standings show that Kurt Busch is currently the leader, followed by Elliot Sadler and Junior's crew. Kurt hopes his crew will be hot this week, and when it comes to this track, Darrell Waltrip knows all the hot spots.
Look, folks, we know this joint is fast. We always talk about how fast it is. You can always have trouble off of turn 2. You can scrape the wall off of turn 4. But DW's hot spot this week is going to be right here in these pits. Bobby Labonte's on the pole. He gets to pick first. He picked pit number 1. Fatback thinks this is going to win him the race. Why would Chad Canals pick this pit? Easy access. You got to be at the commit line. You got to be slowed down to 45 miles an hour. You're the first car in your pit box. You're also the first car out. Oh, by the way, the start-finish line extends all the way across the pit lane. And with the rules we got now, where the field is frozen when the caution comes out, whichever side of this line you're on is going to determine your position. If you're down toward Bobby Labonte's pit, you're fine. You'll be at the back of the lead lap. If you're down in Chad's pit, well, there's a chance you could go a lap down. You know, folks, it just looks to me like, I hate to admit this, the crew chiefs are on the hot spot every week.
Yes, yes. Took him 30 years, but folks, he finally admitted it. You got it right.
I did that for you and Larry.
You're always on the hot seat.
Yeah.
All right, DW heading up to the booth to call the race. We'll be talking to you throughout the day, Jeff. We appreciate you with us here from the Hollywood Hotel. And as we head trackside for opening ceremonies, we want to send our best wishes to our friend and colleague, Pat Summerall, who is in a Florida hospital awaiting a liver transplant. Football, golf, you name it, Pat brought sports into America's homes. He did it with his wonderful voice and his gift of understated elegance. We add our voice with thoughts and prayers for Pat. And we're getting ready to go here at the Great American Speedway. Ideal weather conditions. You can pick out your favorite driver. Get ready to follow him for the next 500 miles. Let's go down trackside for opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as our national colors are presented by the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. And now, will you welcome Dr. Roger Marsh from Texas Alliance Raceway Ministries as he delivers our invocation.
Join me as we pray. Father, thank you for an incredibly beautiful day. Thank you for the excitement of racing and for all the fans and the sponsors, the competitors and the staff here in this place. Watch over today's event. And Father, today our hearts are heavy because of the passing of Ken Patterson, PR director at Talladega Superspeedway. We pray that you might minister to his friends and family. And Father, we're so grateful for the grace and comfort that only you can provide. We pray that you would surround them with it today. Guide and direct us now as we enjoy this event in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as BNA recording artist Kelly Coffey, accompanied by the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne Chorus, performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rankling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Kelly.
That's the way to bring 200,000 people to their feet as the drivers getting ready to get in their cars and go 500 miles at nearly 200 miles per hour. It's NASCAR on Fox. Nice to have you with us. We'll be back to get things going in just a moment. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Radioshack. You've got questions, we've got answers. Let's join Mike Joy and Larry McReynolds. They've got questions and answers.
Thanks, Chris, and hi, everybody. Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, is proud sponsor of the Bud Pole Award given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Bobby Lamonte is the fastest qualifier and the latest Budweiser Shootout eligible driver. Our starting grid will roll by at the bottom of the screen so you can find your favorite driver as we welcome you to Texas. This race has never been won from the front row in 7 years. But Larry, I want to talk about DW's hot spot. He says the crew chief's always on the hot spot here. Why?
Yeah, I mean, every race we go to, you think about the winner will be the team that has the best race car, that has the best strategy. But as the competition gets closer and closer, even in a 500-mile race like here today, it's almost getting who can make the least mistakes, especially on pit road. Loose lug nuts, letting the wheel roll across pit road, or speeding on pit road. And when you think about those crew chiefs on the hot spot today, first race this year could be some strategy at the end. 2 tires, maybe 4 tires, maybe no tires.
We'll see. If you have to pick a favorite here, you have to look to Roush Racing. They have 5 drivers in today's race, and 3 of them have seen great success here in the Lone Star State. Just have a look. Mark Martin with 1 Cup and 3 Busch wins. Matt Kenseth, yesterday's winner, and Jeff Burton have been to victory lane. Here at Texas, it's kind of interesting. They're starting in inverse order of their success here, with Craig Biffle up on the 2nd row and Kurt Busch 12th, neither of whom have won here in Texas. This place is packed. A 450-acre campground is just jam-packed. So is this grandstand. So is the infield. All waiting for the next words you'll hear.
Race fans, will you please welcome back The Rock for the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, let's do this Texas style. Start your engine!
Now that was an 800 horsepower command. 43 drivers at the ready. Let's go down to pit road for last minute updates. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, the Dodge boys have been strong all season. 4 out of the last 5 races, they finished second, but they have yet to reach victory lane. Pulling a number of crew chiefs today, they all point to Evernham Red, the 9, 19, or even the 91. Casey Kane has a second, and a third in his first year for Ray Evernham, but many point to possibly the guy that used to drive the 9 as having the best shot to reach victory lane. For more, let's go to Speedway Illustrated's Dr. Dick Berggren.
And that guy is Bill Elliott. And what improbable odds he faces today. He has a fast car. He starts on the front row. That's good. But he's driving for a part-time team, making only his second point start of the year. Part-time teams don't very often win, so that's not so good. No sponsor on the car. And an unsponsored car has not won in this league since 1986. But Elliott has 44 wins in this league, and on more than a few occasions, he has beaten the odds. Maybe he'll do it again today, Mike Joy.
Thanks, Dick. And if you're head scratching at home, that winner was Morgan Shepherd, driving for Jack Beebe's Race Hill Farm team. Last unsponsored car to score a Cup victory. Participants in today's Singular Virtual Crew Chief polls are automatically entered to win the chance to be Virtual Crew Chief with Team Singular at the Stock Car Race July 4th weekend. Log on to foxsports.com for details on how you can win. We're ready to roll in Texas.
Previously on last week's Demolition Derby, episode of As the Wheel Turns, Bristol fan favorite Kurt Busch took the checkered flag for the 3rd straight time.
They were saying Busch, Busch, Busch,
and it was pure rock and roll.
Caution, you're about to enter a no spin zone. Are you going to name names and kick butt or not?
He got me here in my first race, and he got me again today in my first Cup race, so we'll get him back sometime soon.
You have to control your anger.
Matt hit me 2 or 3 times there.
No harm, no foul.
He's not typically like that.
Try to be nice, and sometimes you're on the receiving end too much.
I'm shocked that Matt acted that way.
Nice guys finish last.
Big soap opera here.
Dale Jr. got his sign the old-fashioned way. He earned with an intentional spin, which caused good old Rusty some more rust on his win column, you know?
Doggone it, man. We didn't need them last cautions. I was all over his rear end, just getting ready to pass him when the caution flag come out. Then it come out again. Then it come out again. Man, I wanted that bad.
The Coliseum is closed for now, but the war wounds inflicted there are still open.
Oh, my God. What's next?
And now the wheel will turn again out here in Texas.
I just don't find footage and riding like that everywhere.
Sure don't.
I'm glad the drivers enjoy our little soap opera as we're on the pace laps here in Texas. You'll have a look at our starting grid on the bottom of the screen as your niece.
Little niece Macy in there, right? And I don't know what I'm sure I love you, Dad.
Oh, that's great. All those tempers at Bristol, Tennessee, Darrell, how do you keep them all locked up when you hop on the plane to come to a place that is this fast?
See, I used to like the old days because we had a lot more short tracks, and so you didn't have to wait so long to get even. You can't do it here. We're running way too fast. But Martinsville's coming.
Well, you got to take care of your temper here, Larry, and you got to take care of your equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I know the drivers are nervous about these speeds. The crew chiefs are nervous. They're on a hot spot. But if I'm an engine builder, 4 hours, 500 miles, their RPMs, they're sustained the whole time here. They're the guys that's nervous about those 9,400 RPMs all day long with these engines.
Let's go back down to pit road. Jeannie Zalasko.
Well, when you have a problem with your football team, you can fire the coach, right? And if that doesn't work, then the finger pointing turns to the quarterback. Welcome to the life of Jeff Burton, the front man for the 99 team, really feeling a lot of heat. This team has a lot of backing from Roush Racing. They have very high expectations that they have not lived up to. So as I said, the heat is on. They are not making or taking any excuses right now. And that includes Jeff Burton. He says, I've got the backing. There are no excuses. So he hopes to throw the game-winning touchdown pass, if you will, at the site of his very first Cup win. Steve?
Well, Jeannie, it's been 66 races between trips to victory lane for veteran driver Sterling Marlin. Last year, he failed to finish inside the top 5. This year, he's already finished inside the top 5 twice. His crew chief, Lee McCall, said they've made very minor changes to that race car. And what a better way to celebrate Mule Day weekend in Columbia, Tennessee, his hometown, than with the win, Mike Joy.
Sure hate to miss that, Steve. Well, for some revelations on more engine technology, we're going to Jeff Hammond.
You didn't do that.
I did.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I do appreciate that. That's right. We talked a little earlier. Larry mentioned engines. What's going on here today? That's sustained RPMs. A lot of times, that last 100 miles will take a heavy toll on valve springs for one thing, rocker arms for another. So you got to be worried about that, as well as the valves inside these race cars today. They'll be seeing a lot of RPM, and by the end of the day, they may give up on you.
Thanks, Jeff. Look at your front row as we get set to go in Texas. A lot of veterans up there. Bobby Labonte, Bill Elliott. This race has not been won from the front row in its 7 prior runnings. Here are onboard cameras. A complete tic-tac-toe box of 9 of them that you'll see on our NASCAR on Fox coverage today.
And Mike, you mentioned we've been here 7 times, 7 different winners, and only one of those previous winners is starting up in the top 10 today.
And that unsponsored car of Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott is the track record holder here, and he's up there on the front row. I don't know, he might break that record today.
Yeah, Bobby Labonte did not break the track record in qualifying, but he did run the fastest qualifying lap of this season so far.
Take a look at our weather right here. Air temperature is 68 degrees, but we'll pay close attention to this track temperature. This is a very temperature-sensitive racetrack. As it cools down, it's very cloudy today. The handling characteristics of these cars will change substantially.
For the better, I think, Larry, with the cooler track temperatures. We've been seeing 104 to 110 degrees as these cars have been practicing. I think they're going to like these clouds.
Those engines like those cool temperatures.
Ooh, that might be a little tough on your gear selection, too. But I did hear a lot of cars bumping that rev limiter going down into turn 1.
We look at the cars, the crew chiefs like Tommy Baldwin and the crews. But the crowd here is all but overwhelming. Almost 200,000 people are here to watch these cars go 334 laps and complete 500 miles.
There you see our pit window, 60 to 65 laps. Good tire here. DW, pull them belts tight. One more time, buddy.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. They go off into turn 1. The next time they get to turn 1, they'll be almost 200 miles per hour. Bill Elliott in that 91 car, unsponsored car, gets a good run on the high side off turn 2.
I think we'll see 2 grooves, 2 lanes of racing today. The Busch cars widened that groove out. I think you'll see some good side-by-side racing.
Greg Biffle in the 16 car showed that right away through 3 and 4.
And Bobby Labonte's car really kind of took off with him, and he's going to lose a bunch of spots.
Speaking of take off, how about Bill Elliott? 3/4 of a second lead at the completion of lap 1.
Might be hurry to get to the house to work on that dirt car of his.
Right now, he is driven away from these guys.
And you would expect no less.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Bill. This is only his 2nd race. He's been working out and resting up. He's ready to go racing.
I am very impressed. The weather's been very consistent here this weekend. We've had no rain. We saw that 2nd groove start to come in yesterday in the Busch race. We definitely have two groups of racing.
Just got to be careful when you're out in that outside lane, because if the guy underneath you happens to make a little move, he can run you up into the loose stuff. It's still a little dirty up there.
You saw the 7th place race, Gordon and Mears. How about 2nd place? Greg Biffle has come like he's been shot out of a cannon from lap 2 on.
Greg Biffle had a great race car yesterday in the Busch race, and I think he learned a lot. Lost an engine late in the race, but he had a top 5 car all day long.
That's Joe Nemechek right behind, and all through the practice sessions this week, the Army car has been the fastest of the Chevrolets.
Yeah, I mean, this place has always suited Joe's driving style. He won the Busch Series race here a year ago and always runs well here, always qualifies well as he did again this week.
Jeff Gordon trying to work the low side, still against Casey Mears. Jimmy Johnson right with him.
You get bogged down when you come off underneath somebody like that. You got to be real careful. You get bogged down, that guy on the outside gets a good head of steam down the straightaway.
Rusty Wallace on the move, catching this group from 10th place. He's caught him.
I think Rusty, I think he's feeling really, really racy today. I looked at him this morning. He has on his work clothes. I think he's ready to go.
2nd place is the battle. Nemechek wants it from Biffle. Looked to the inside. Had the steam coming off 4. Greg's going to give him room.
His car is so good. Bam! Right there in the center of the corner. He's able to pick the throttle up and stay in it all the way off the corner. At least he does right now with those fresh tires.
And he has friends, Larry. Here comes the Dale Jr. and Dale Jr.'s car looks real good today. Casey Mears right there with him. Before you open that door, get up high, and here they come.
Last lap, 184 miles an hour. Slow car Todd Bodine. They've had engine trouble this weekend. He's down on the apron. He's going to make it back around to the garage, it appears. Pole sitter Bobby Labonte has dropped back to 6th place. Steve?
Yeah, Mike, just seconds ago he said, oh my gosh, this race car is loose. And Fatback McSwain said 10-4, don't worry. Track will tighten up for you. Let's go to Matt.
Jeff Gordon currently runs in the 8th position, trying to score his first win here at Texas. More importantly, trying to score his first top 5 finish of the season. He just told his crew chief, Robbie Loomis, I cannot run on the bottom underneath someone else because it just makes my car, which is already free, even freer. And Larry Mack, we've talked all weekend about how this track tightens up as the run progresses, so you have to start out the run on the free side.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to start the run off loose. You can't run around this racetrack at over 190 miles an hour loose. But when it has a full load of fuel, all that weight in the rear of the car, you know you're going to tighten up. The car's going to push as you get into a run, so the driver has to kind of live with it being a little free. And as a key word, little free, maybe the first 5 or 10 laps of the run.
Yeah, you got to adjust your driving style as you go along. Where you've been able to drive it down in there and mat it right in the middle of the corner, now you're going to have to start thinking about playing with the throttle a little bit to get it off the corner, because that's where they really tighten up, is on corner exit.
See several drivers trying to work in that high groove, and Jimmy Johnson was one of them. Kirk Shelmerdine and the unsponsored number 72 Ford has been black flagged. That car not up to minimum speed. His last lap was a 32.90. The leader's running about a 29.60.
And that's the thing we talk about this racetrack, and Jeff Hammond talked about it with the engines. The speeds just don't slow down. This place has so much grip, unlike its sister racetrack at Atlanta that we raced down a month ago. The speeds just don't slow down, especially on a cool, overcast day like this.
What's that due to, Larry? Is it the last time they paved it, age of the paving?
Yeah, it's just, it don't have that much age on it. It has only about 4 or 5 years on it, and that's not very much.
And I think the other thing, too, they're learning as they pave these speedways, since there have been so many new ones built over the last few years, they're getting a better quality of asphalt. It's got polymers in it, and it makes it a little bit more sticky than what we're accustomed to with the stones and all.
Johnny Sauter, Ricky Rudd. This battle is at 30th position. Your leader, Joe Nemechek, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle has now settled back into 5th place. Dick Berggren.
Started in 4th, Mike, so he's dropped back 1 spot from that position. But, you know, he came to this racetrack with a terrific race car, and he's had a good time here so far. 2nd in the first practice, 2nd in the second practice, 4th in happy hour. But I talked to him this morning, and he said the car was just there. He came on the radio just a little while ago, said he's loose going into the faster. Jeannie?
Matt Kenseth came to the track today feeling very confident, got a win in the Busch race on Saturday, said that felt really good because the cars are similar, very, very similar, and similar problems that Matt had in yesterday's race. The car real loose. I talked to his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, this morning, and he said that was their thought process anyway, that the car would start off loose, factoring in the weather, factoring in the track conditions, that the car would come to him eventually.
Thanks, Jeannie. Bill Elliott leads in a Dodge, Joe Nemechek's Chevy, Casey Kane's Dodge, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet, and Greg Biffle's Ford are the front five in Texas after 13 laps. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway, just outside Fort Worth, where the first caution of the day flies on lap 18 as a result of contact. Casey Mears and Jeff Gordon racing hard for position.
They've been going at it pretty hard here for about 5 or 6 laps. Jeff tried him high, Jeff tried him low. I think Jeff's getting a little impatient. He gets a run on him there, but it's not over. I mean, they continue to run side by side. As you can see, the outside.
So let's look one lap later.
One lap later, coming off of 2. This is in 4 right here. Here we go. Jacked him up just a little bit.
And Jeff Gordon in the 24 stands a much larger chance of damaging his car doing things like that than he would to the 41 Casey Mears.
Larry, look at the back of that car with the missing bumper cover. What's that going to do aerodynamically to that car?
What I have seen, that could help that race car because it can reduce drag and actually can help rear downforce. So at a racetrack like this, I don't look for it to hurt that car.
The interesting thing about that car right now, it only took half of it off.
Right.
So, you know, the bumper cover is one piece. Should have taken the whole rear bumper off of it instead of half of it. So
interesting thing about it, how easy it came off.
Well, now it's only plastic. You remember back to Bumpergate when Bobby Allison lost a bumper in the Daytona 500. That one was not plastic. And that car ran pretty well after the bumper was knocked off.
Oh, he probably won that race.
1982 Daytona 500.
That's right.
I would say about a third of the way through this fuel run, we're going to see pit road become pretty busy, but I bet you we will probably see a lot of 2-tire stops right here with only 18 laps on their tires. Dick Burton.
Bill Elliott has been on the radio, done a great job of describing what his car is doing at every single point of the racetrack, going in the middle, and coming out of every corner. The car is nearly perfect right now. Do not believe the names on the back of the crew members' uniforms here. These guys are all from Casey Kane's Busch Series pit crew. Because Bill is a part-timer in this series, he doesn't have his own full-time crew.
Matt, the second, third place cars are in. Casey Kane, no adjustments on his Dodge. A 4-tire change also for the old one. And Joe Nemechek, he's down and away to Steve.
Matt Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying he's feeling a vibration. He feels like he's got too much air pressure. Almost gets blocked in, but gets off of pit road. He's also tight through the center. They made a track bar adjustment.
Mark Martin was forced into the grass by his Roush Racing teammate Kurt Busch, who was forced up high exiting the pit. Very congested pit exit here. And I don't know, Larry, about that picking the pits up toward turn number 4, because even though you get out of your pit first, by the time you get down to the mouth of pit road, it's really a traffic jam.
It'll be better later.
When there's less lead lap cars on the lead lap. Yes, absolutely. But I think the winners off pit road was Rusty Wallace in the 2, Sterling Marlin in the 40. And by their pit road times that we had up there a while ago, I'm going pretty much safe in saying they changed just those 2 right side tires as I anticipated some cars would.
So we're under caution for the first time today. Debris from contact between Jeff Gordon and Casey Mears. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Radioshack. You've got questions, we've got answers. By AOL 9.0, now with top speed technology. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And by Lowe's, improving home improvement. Getting set for the restart in Texas, the 3 lead cars, Wallace, Marlin, and Newman, took on only 2 tires, as did Kevin Harvick, who jumped from 24th to 11th, Scott Riggs, and Scott Wimmer.
So the real winner of the cars that changed 4 tires was that Army crew of Joe Nemechek's in the 01. There you see Rusty Wallace in the 2 car leading the race right now, over 160 miles an hour off into turn 1 after a restart.
Bill Elliott's flying up the outside. He's alongside his teammate Casey Kane back at 5th place, 2x2x2.
See Sterling Marlin in that 40 car, though. He'd like to lead this thing.
I tell you one thing, Bill Elliott, I don't know what kind of motor they got up under the hood, but she's on kill right now. That thing will motor down that straightaway.
I tell you what, guys, it's good to see, even early in the race, Sterling Marlin in the 40 and Rusty Wallace in the 2.
Oh, look how Joe got up the hill there and almost
got Ryan, and here comes Elliott.
Sorry, Larry.
That's okay. It's just good to see those guys up there leading the race and battling each other.
And here comes Bobby Labonte, the green car on the bottom, charging toward the front.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's back in the 7th position right now in the 8 car.
Something might be wrong with the 17 car. I don't know. He just seems like he's falling back. Genie.
Well, guys, he was just complaining that the car is real loose, and they're having a hard time getting it dialed in. Interestingly enough, it was Matt Kenseth who took 2 tires in Saturday's Busch race, the first guy to do so, first guy to take the plunge. I asked his Cup crew chief what he thought of the move, and he said, well, I guess it got a track position. And I said, well, would you be willing to do it? And he kind of chuckled, but then looked up and said, you betcha. But just to confirm, he did take 4. I think they've got bigger issues right now than 2 or 4 tires.
Yeah, he's fallen all the way back to 35th, Jeannie, as we watch Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick battle. This would be for 12th.
But when your car's not very good, and if it's really loose, you can't stand people around you, so you got to get either out of the way, so he's headed to the back.
Yeah, his last lap was a 30-30, and our leader, Sterling Marlin, just ran a 29-30, a second off.
And Bill Elliott just loosened up Ryan Newman to take over 3rd place.
I know Bill Elliott's running down that straightaway, but Darrell, his car runs right around that white line, and it looks like when he picks that throttle up, that thing goes from the center out.
Bill says, I don't get to run a lot, but when I do, I'm going to run the wheels off of it.
But, you know, when you look at their situation, Ray Evernham and Bill Elliott, and you're not running all the races, you're not points racing, you can have the engine, what we call on kill. You can be pushing envelope. You can put, this is a new development chassis from Evernham. So you can try things, experiment, and sometimes it really pays off. It looks like so far it is for this crew.
Our Singular Wireless Virtual Crew Chief question. Vote now on your Singular phone or on foxsports.com. Roush Racing, 3 victories so far here in Texas.
Watch this. Man, he just sails by. And Rusty, I know Rusty's got power under the hood. And he just pulled down under him and drove by him. The thing I like about Bill, he's not coming from Bristol with any issues. He's coming here with a clean slate.
And I read some quotes from Bill earlier this week. If they do not get sponsorship for this 91 car, he may not race again until the Brickyard 400 in August. Hard to believe they won't get something on that race car.
2 spots ahead of him in the lead. Sterling Marlin just ran the fastest lap of this lap, 29.45. Steve Burns.
Mike Sterling had some concern as he left pit road. As you said, he took just 2 tires, but he made contact with Scott Wimmer exiting pit road, and he's afraid there's some damage to the right front quarter panel of that race car. Matt Yoakum.
Steve Ray Evernham is in the spotter stand along with Casey Kane's normal spotter, Michael Landis. He told Casey and Tommy Baldwin, the 240 and 12 took 2 tires. He will keep a stopwatch and see if that would play to their favor later on. But Ray's a big student of the game, and Larry Mackey touched on it. Developmental engine program in the 91 car. They've been working for 6 months on that engine. Casey Kane, he's 11th points, will not have this engine combination until the All-Star race in May. Casey currently running in the 5th position, trying to be patient.
Kenny Schrader almost got a piece of the wall in turn 2 on that lap.
And it seems like that I watched these cars yesterday, watched them get today. They hit down in that first turn, a little dip, a little bump as you go down there. Hit it wrong, and the car just shoots up the racetrack.
Carol, I don't think he touched it. I don't see anything on the right side of the car, but he didn't miss it by much.
No, he was up there dirt tracking her.
Guys, right behind Kenny Schrader, the 49 car, we'll look at what happened over there with him over in 1 and 2.
Looks like he sailed it in there and it didn't stick.
Yeah, we saw that a lot of times yesterday in the Busch Series race. There's just no grip there. But right behind Kenny Schrader is Matt Kenseth, our points leader in the 17 car. We heard Jeannie Zelasco talking about how loose he is. I know a lot of guys are hunting the lead. I think Matt is hunting the back of the pack because right now he can't stand to run around cars. He is actually almost a half a lap down to our leader, Sterling Marlin, which I don't think it's going to be long, though, till Bill Elliott, that 91 is going to be our leader.
Michael Waltrip trying to hold off our point leader, who looked good off the corner, but stays right down to the bottom of the racetrack. You're right, Larry. Sterling's rearview mirror is filling up with red.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Elliott just ran 2/10 quicker that last lap than our leader, Sterling Marlin.
And there is a little draft here. I mean, you get a little help as you go down these straightaways because the speeds are so high. So Bill's going to close. The 9 car is going to close on Sterling and the 40 car pretty quick.
I'm pretty impressed with that 40 car on those 2 right side tires. Remember last week, different situation. Lee McCall made the call to put 2 tires on Sterling in the middle of the race, got in that track position. He was able to keep it the remainder of the race.
All right, if you just took 2 tires on this stop, though, Larry, when do you want to see a caution so you don't have to cycle all the way through?
Well, if I'm as good as I am right now, Sterling Marlin, let's go ahead, let's have a green flag run because I'm right there with the leader.
Okay. The front 5 positions are all Dodge. Marlin and Elliott, Kane and Wallace and Newman.
And I tell you, when I stood down in turn 1 as they practiced yesterday, the Dodge engines sound to me like they're turning at least 300 to 400, maybe even 500 more RPM than anyone else. Wow. They have really got a package in those engines right now.
That would put them fairly close to 10,000 RPM.
Well,
there.
well over 9,000.
Unbelievable.
Casey Kane in the 9 car, he got a well of a run on the high side through 3 and 4 that time. He'll take the 3rd position away from Rusty Wallace in the 2.
Our Dodge front runners, 3 spots on the board, and they have the top 5 spots on the race. If you add Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman to that list. 37 laps in, only 1 caution so far here in Texas. That one for debris. Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott at the front.
Welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway. Bill Elliott leading Sterling Marlin. The rookie Casey Kane currently running 3rd. We're through 42 laps at the Samsung Radioshack 500. Quick recap, if we go back for a few moments, the first and only caution of this race so far was on lap 19 when Jeff Gordon and Casey Mears played tap and go. A little debris on the racetrack. Rusty Wallace led for a while after Bill Elliott and then Sterling Marlin. But on lap 38 moments ago, Bill Elliott taking the lead back. And there you see Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott going. A couple of veterans here on a track that last year was run by a then 25-year-old Ryan Newman.
I think right now what you're seeing is the fact that these veterans have got their cars working like they need to, at least early on. We see Sterling Marlin getting on the inside of Bill Elliott off the corner, and here comes the 9 in behind him. That's Casey Kane in the picture. And these Dodgers are putting right now on a whale of a show early on.
And Bill Elliott just not fading in the sunset, the limited race schedule, but taking notes, helping out Casey Kane in terms of what he's done, and it's helped him so far.
He's quite a coach. I mean, you think about it like his, Chris. There's a lot of experience right there. Speaking of experience right there, a couple of teammates going at it in last year's winner. Ryan Newman getting underneath Rusty Wallace, who had a strong run last weekend at Bristol, followed closely in there by Joe Nemechek in the 01 car.
Saw Rusty Wallace at the hotel right across from the racetrack here last night at dinner, and he said, hey, I'm not just saying this, you know, I'm always optimistic, but I really like our car. Off of the momentum from Bristol, I think we have a really good chance of winning this race. Of course, that would end his string of 104 races without a win.
Right now, he seems like he's holding a pretty wheel at this moment.
Let's go back upstairs, rejoin Mike, Darrell, and Larry.
There's the distance for the lead. Marlin, Bill Elliott, and the first Chevy in the race, Nemechek 6th. The first Ford is Greg Biffle at 7th.
One thing I noticed about Bill's car, Larry, is it's really, really fast on the restarts, but it seems like it goes away, and these other cars are catching up with him and passing him now.
Well, I tell you who is fast not only on a restart, but this whole run. Derek Cope in this 50 car, he started back in 31st. I've been watching his times. He's been about as quick as our leaders. He just drove by Kurt Busch in the 97 and Tony Stewart in the 20. He's up to 13th position. Big tip of the hat to Mike Hillman. His crew chief made the call to take 2 tires, got that track position, and he has a fast race car right now. That's another unsponsored car.
Tony Stewart, 1 spot back of Cope, is in 14th place, Steve.
And Mike, so far they're not having a very good day. On the last pit stop, they pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear tire. This has not been one of Tony's best racetracks.
Well, it sounds like his car must be pushing from the center out as we see Casey Kane go by Sterling Marlin for the lead right there in the 9 car. When you take a spring rubber out of the left rear, that means your car has been pushing or trying to free that car up. It doesn't look like it fixed it.
This young rookie who had his Express derailed last week in Bristol, where he and Jamie McMurray got together, and Kane ended up with the worst of it, shook that off, came here to Texas, regretted the comments he made in that post-crash interview, said that's all forgotten, we're just going to go racing. When we say we're going to get him, we're going to beat him. And everybody else.
All these guys need a red-headed wife to stand behind them and shake her head with her hand over her mouth, and they'd finally get the message.
All right, the fastest Chevy for most of this weekend, full qualifying excluded, has been Joe Nemechek. Matt?
Currently running in the 6th position. Before the caution on his lap 20 pit stop, Joe's car was tight. Put on a set of sticker tires and made an air pressure adjustment. Now he's reporting the car is very, very tight. In his pit today, a big fan of the U.S. Army 01 team, and that's Major General Raymond Odinero. He is the commanding general of the 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Hood here in Texas. The 27,000 soldier division recently returned to Texas after a year of combat operations in Iraq. And he was chiefly responsible for the capture of the Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein. This is his 2nd race. He says many more to come. He's a huge race fan.
Now, Larry, he'd probably be quite a strategist. Maybe we ought to visit with him.
Yes, I would say, but we know by virtue of emails and letters that so many of our troops overseas watch our races, NASCAR on Fox, every weekend.
We saw Nemechek, the fastest Chevy in this race, just ahead of the Bud Cam is Greg Biffle. He is the leading Ford in the race, going underneath Nemechek to take over 6th place. Dick?
Well, in the inspection line this morning, Greg Biffle's crew chief, Doug Richard, decided to make an 11th hour change in that car, and they hooked up the rear anti-roll bar in it. Seems to be working pretty well. Biffle says the only problem he has encountered with the car so far is that it is a bit tight coming out of the corners.
And Dick, that's a huge change on race morning, that rear sway bar. It really stiffens the rear spring rate, and it can definitely free that car up or loosen it up. So that was a huge gamble this morning, Darrell.
Yeah, usually you hook a bar up because you know you're going to get tight off the corner. It's a little edgy getting in the corner, but it does really help the car get off the corner when the nose starts sliding.
Bobby Labonte, who started from the pole, currently running in 9th place. And Matt Kenseth, our point leader, after sliding back to 35th, he is gaining ground. He's up to 31st. And moving up on a group that includes the 1999 winner here, Terry Labonte.
And his lap times are starting to look better, but the problem is he's only 7 seconds from going a lap down to our leader, Casey Kane, in the 9.
That's Jeff Burton just ahead of Kenseth in an unfamiliar color, white paint job on his Roush number 99 this week.
Yeah, they're both on the back. They're on the straightaway on the back together. I mean, the 9 cars down near the end and 17 cars coming off.
Greg Biffle's trying to break up that all Dodge front 5.
Looking low, inside. 8 cars right behind him. Clear.
And Dale Jr. now is the top Chevy in the race in 7th.
You know, Mike, I want to go back to what Matt Yoke was talking about. The top 10 qualifiers are required to start the race on the tires they qualify on. They're scuff tires. Then when you have the first pit stop, normally you have to go to sticker or new tires, and that can be a big nail biter for the guys not knowing how much that's going to change the characteristics till you get a few laps into a run. It can change the way the car drives.
Yeah, one of the guys told me, they said, you know, I'd like to qualify 11th every week.
To get new tires.
If I can't sit on the pole.
If I can't sit on the pole, yeah.
Be the first car on new tires. tires. Dale Earnhardt Jr. alongside Greg Biffle. Biffle got the better launch off the corner as they chase Rusty Wallace for 5th. And the pack closes in. Nemechek, Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Elliot Sadler all trying to close right up on the battle for 5th place.
I know that 38 car, I talked to the crew chief, Todd Parrott, this morning, Elliot Sadler's car. They pushed their car through inspection this morning about 8:30 before anyone. Todd said the car was good. We hope we don't fight the same thing we fought at Atlanta where it was so loose when the race started, but I know they felt very good. 0 changes on that car this morning, and he had the car to beat here a year ago until he had a tire cut down on the backstretch.
Look who else is catching this pack. Derek Cope in 12th place. He's caught him.
He is on the move. I've been watching this monitor, and he definitely has one of the fastest cars.
5 Dodges at the front, 7 cars trying to break that pack up, and they are closing fast. But it's Casey Kane, Sterling Marlin, Bill Elliott, Ryan Newman, and Rusty Wallace at 58 laps in the Samsung Radioshack 500. Rookie Casey Kane on point with a 2-second lead. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. "64 laps complete in front of a huge crowd here in Texas, perhaps the second largest crowd of the entire NASCAR season, second only to Indianapolis. 170,000 in the seats and suites, plus a large packed infield and a over 400-acre campground. This is big. And Casey Kane, the rookie, taking them to task. He now has a 3-second lead on Sterling Marlin, Bill Elliott, Ryan Newman, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. has moved up into the top 5. Matt?
Casey Kane continues to lead the way. Casey telling his crew chief, Tom Baldwin Jr., the car is free on entry, and it's snuck a little bit in turns 1 and 2, but not bad down in 3 and 4. Tommy's expecting to pit the 9 car around lap 79.
Thanks, Matt. We've talked about Casey Kane, his occasional teammate, Bill Elliott, who's in 3rd. What about the other Evernham car, Jeremy Mayfield, who has come all the way now to 19th place?
Yeah, he qualified in the 21st position on Friday, but they had an engine problem right before qualifying, so that means they had to change that engine, and they had to go to the rear of the field. But, Jeannie, he has a mighty fast race car like his teammates.
Well, exactly, Larry Mack. And Jeremy hoping that he got the bad luck out of the way. As you mentioned, he had to make an engine change prior to qualifying. It was an oil leak. They never found out what the problem was, but they were happy to make the change. If it was going to be a disaster, that they'd rather it come on Friday. But again, it is easier to pass on Friday than it is on Sunday. So he has this work cut out for him, but they are not concerned. Talked to the crew earlier this morning, and they said this car is set up very similar to the 9 and the 91. So just check out the track. That should give you an answer just how good Jeremy Mayfield could be today.
Thanks, Jeannie. When we went to break, it was a Dodge front 5. One of those Dodges has fallen back. Rusty Wallace, who took 2 tires back at the only caution of the day, now finds himself in 13th.
But 2 other cars that changed 2 tires are still in the top 5. Ryan Newman, his teammate in the 12, and Sterling Marlin in the 40 car running in 2nd. You know, I think the band of a good handling car is narrow anyhow. When you go to 2 tires, it really narrows it up. You really have to have a good driving race car to be able to pull off changing just 2 tires.
And this guy right here, Rusty Wallace, he's never been a 2-tire guy. I've always felt like he likes 4 tires. What do you think, Matty?
Both the 2 and the 12 took 2 tires like you're talking about, Darrell. Both had the same tendency, tight on exit. Both made adjustments to the chassis. Rusty's car going the wrong way, Ryan's car going the right way. Ryan says the car is a little bit free on entry, but not bad. Rusty says the car is tight, tight, tight.
On point, Casey Kane, the ex-midget star. Those are midget race cars. Sorry, it didn't come out quite right. He's young, but he's not short.
No, and I tell you what else he's not short on. That's talent.
Yes.
You know how it's to come here, drive that race car, and lap this field and go around this track the way he is, and he's just a rookie. I mean, how good is this kid, and how good is that race car?
If you notice right up here, right up there in the crawl, it was showing when these cars will be on pit road, which won't be long, Mike.
So let's take a break before these drivers do. You're watching the Samsung Radioshack 500. Welcome back to Texas, where Casey Kane has just become the Old Spice lap leader of the race, eclipsing Bill Elliott, who has led twice for a total of 26 laps. We're coming up on green flag pit stops. Larry Poit is in. Michael Waltrip is in. Both of those are cars that have been lapped by our leader, Casey Kane. Right now, we have 26 of the 43 starters still on the lead lap as we get into pit stops. Now, 4 Dodges at the front, then Elliot Sadler, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Greg Biffle. We listened to Biffle and crew chief Doug Richard talk about race strategy.
Starting to get this a little tight, center out. Right front's giving up. Probably maybe the camber. A little bit free in. A little tight off.
10-4. We'll get some air pressure out of the left side. Might even take this a little bit of wedge so we can keep up with this racetrack because it is getting a little warmer.
10-4.
Of course, that was his crew chief, Doug Richard, talking to Greg Biffle, and what he's talking about, this racetrack goes to a change. We talked about that in the beginning. As it heats up, the cars will start to slide more. And what Greg Biffle's telling him, I can feel that right front not gripping anymore, but it's about the time because we've almost went through this entire stop.
Yeah, he's probably worn out the right front. Plus, 300 miles yesterday in the Busch race. Now, you run these cars here again today, you get a lot of rubber down on the track. She gets slippery.
Our points leader, Matt Kenseth, in the 17 car, who was not far from going a lap down, Jeannie, he's on pit road for his green flag stop.
Yeah, I think they want to cut their losses while they can. They saw what Matt was able to do during the Saturday Busch race, making up the ground. Interestingly enough, he said the car seems to be running better on the old tires, but he's going with 4 stickers here, cleaning off the grill and trying to get back to work.
Mark Martin is in. Greg Biffle, Terry Labonte, and Jimmy Johnson have been on pit road, Dick.
And you heard what they were going to do to Greg Biffle's car. The wrench has already been in the back for that wedge change. Tires are on the car. Fuel is in, and he's gone. To Matt.
The leader, Casey Kane, will be coming next time by. Meanwhile, the 0-1 of Joe Nemechek in. Track bar adjustment already completed. Way too snug in the center of turns 1 and 2. To Dick.
Bill Elliott, 4 tires and gas. This car has been absolutely flawless today. His pickup crew with their borrowed uniforms over the wall trying to compete with the guys that are out there every single week in NASCAR's biggest division. A nice stop. Steve.
Dick Sterling Marlin saying that his car is tight on exit. No chassis adjustments to that number 40 Dodge, and Marlin is away. Matt.
The 9 car of Casey Kane pulls around Rusty Wallace's Dodge. No changes for young Casey Kane. He says the car is very much to my liking. A little free, tick tight, but not bad at all. As Jim Pullman hits those lugs in the left front. A close call between the 2 of Rusty Wallace as he exits. Ryan Newman is in. You can see the wrench going in the back window. Service complete for Casey Kane. They're going to make a chassis adjustment for Ryan Newman. He was a little bit free and a little bit tight on the 12 car. As a 97 of Kurt Busch is also in today.
Elliot Sadler now pitting. He slid a little bit further than he wanted to, but the car is still in a legal position on pit road. They're in the process of a 4-tire change. Fuel elastic. Off he goes.
Jeff Gordon is in as well, so is Kenny Schrader. As green flag stops continue, one scary moment for Derek Cope's crew. His car stalled. They had to push him down pit road, and then his crew members had to dive over the wall as Kurt Busch was coming into his pit.
And I believe he's back on pit road again, Mike. That's a shame. He had moved himself in the top 10 in points, or top 10 in the race, and he's back on pit road again.
Bobby Labonte, the pole sitter, done and gone. Here's Steve.
Mike Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying that his race car has been snug or a little bit tight. They'll change 4 tires, put the wedge wrench in to make an adjustment on the right rear corner of that race car. Bill Drive changing front tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Car up on the left side. And Earnhardt Jr. back on the racetrack, 14.5 seconds.
Tony Stewart's crew completes their work. Jimmy Spencer now comes onto pit road. He this week replaced Kevin LePage in the Morgan McClure number 4. Scott Riggs completes his stop and goes back out. Let's show you Kurt Busch as he comes in, and you'll see crewmen that push Derek Cope's car along having to dive out of the way. Busch has to hit the brake pretty hard to get to his pit.
Yeah, and I mean, he's running 45 miles an hour right there.
Derek Cope did come back down pit road for a drive-through penalty,
which is going to probably put him now a lap down, which is a shame. We talked about it in the beginning. Good race cars, you can't make mistakes.
Johnny Sauter will be the last driver to hit pit road. He does pick up the lead as green flag pit stops cycle through. So the Richard Childress AOL Chevy gets credited for leading a lap here. And now Ricky Craven on pit road as well. Craven had gone a lap down. So I believe all the lead lap cars have now made their stop.
Interesting to watch everybody come on pit road. Some guys come on pit road and get down in the middle of just off the 4 there. Others come all the way around here and just go in at the commit line.
But you know, Darryl, you talk about this a lot. I'm a little concerned that some of these crew chiefs aren't communicating with each other and they're pitting at the same time, neighbors.
McDonald's drive-through championship fueled by Powerade. Kurt Busch led those standings coming into this race. Green flag stops complete. We'll be right back. 93 of 334 laps complete in the Samsung Radioshack 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Remember that issue we had on pit road on the first pit stop with everybody on pit road and all the congestion? Well, thanks to this young man, we're not going to see much of that the rest of the day. He is setting a torrid pace, and now just about half the field remains on the lead lap, 23 of 43 cars. Only 2 in the garage, Kirk Shelmerdine and Todd Bodine. 41 cars on track.
Let me tell you, they did it in the pits again. That 17 bunch did. He was almost a lap down when the pit stop cycle started. And right now, he's got a pretty comfortable lead over the 9 car, Casey Kane, and he's up to 19th place. So, once again, a little magic in the pits.
Well, I think one thing that helped him, Darryl, and they knew this, they were one of the first cars to hit pit road for those fresh tires, so they got a little advantage, more laps with those fresh tires before everybody else pitted.
And Casey was one of the ones I was watching to get on pit road, very cautious. And that's kind of the rookie thing, you know, he just doesn't know exactly how far to push it.
The Killer Bees for Robbie Reiser made up 6 positions for Matt Kenseth on pit road. And Larry, it's like you talked at the top of the show. You can't really gain time on the pits, but you can lose time. Were they that good, or did 6 other cars have issues with their pit stops, or a combination of both?
I think it was a combination of both, Mike. I think they were very solid. There was no mistakes. Matt made no mistakes. And Jeff Hammond, I mean, that is a huge key here. We talked about it in the beginning. You can't make mistakes, but that driver can't make a mistake either getting in or out.
He really can't, Larry. But I think the important thing is not the positions that he picked up, which are a benefit when the leader's trying to come back through that traffic, but it was the time that these guys gained. They picked up 5 seconds on the leader, which is huge on a racetrack like this. And a guy that, like Casey Kane, who is so fast right now, it could be the difference between losing a lap later on and not.
Well, the big difference, all you have to look at is Derek Cope. Derek was a top 10 car in that Arnold Motorsports number 50 you see, battling Elliot Sadler, and he was a top 10 car. Now he is laps down and finds himself in 39th place. They had a long stop. They had to push the car away from the pits. Matt, what happened?
Well, first off, Mike Hillman made a great call on track position, took on 2 tires the first stop. The car was a little free. When he made his way to pit road, he ran out of gas. The car stalled. It would not refire. A heartbreaker for Derek Cope. Now runs 2 laps down in the 39th position.
I mean, he had one of the fastest race cars. I think we documented it through those first 70 or 80 laps. He was making gains on the top 5 cars the whole time.
Another car right there that's done a really good job of getting himself up in contention here too, Larry, the 38 car. They had a good pit stop. He had been coming pretty much before the stops, and now he finds himself in 3rd place. Pretty good run for a cat that almost could have won this race last year.
Elliot Sadler is 3rd. We've talked about cars trying to stay on the lead lap. Been a little bit of a tough road for Jamie McMurray and Scott Wimmer. They've both gone a lap down to the leader. As Dale Jarrett is under, you saw him under fire there from Kevin Harvick. There's McMurray and Wimmer.
You know, I'm very surprised this 42 car is not running any better than it is here. I mean, this is the same car that he ran so strong with at Atlanta and Las Vegas, and
And coming to Texas, when you thought of cars that would have good runs here based on their history, you figured the 42 car would be one of them.
And Larry, I tell you, I kind of know Jamie pretty well, Jamie McMurray pretty well. Very sensitive kid, and I think what happened last week could be affecting him this week. Emotionally, mentally, doesn't want to get himself in trouble again this week. Kind of maybe taking the cautious approach.
Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin pitted together, came out together, and now they have caught Dale Jarrett and Kevin Harvick.
But the big problem all these cats have got is that 9 car. He just keeps on trucking.
While these fellas race for 7.
They're all back here side by side racing each other, and he's just going on, man. He's cutting some really fast laps in the 29s.
Yeah, the leader's only about 2 to 3 seconds behind this group. They don't need to be racing side by side longer. We've already documented when you run like Dale Jarrett in the 88, Matt Kenseth in the 17, you can't optimize your lap time. But they're all in desperation right now.
Hanging on for dear life.
Way low. Here comes Brendan Gaughan.
Man, and all these guys, the reason they're racing so hard is right behind them is the leader. I mean right there he is.
If there was ever a young dog that'd stick his nose through the crack in the fence, it's Brendan Gaughan. If there's a hole, he's going for it.
And, you know, he's great on this racetrack. He's won 4 straight truck races here. And I really thought he would be really good today in that car.
And right behind Casey Kane in that 9 car is his teammate, Jeremy Mayfield, in the 19 car. Now, he's sitting back there in 23rd position. Right now, he would essentially be the car that would get a free pass if the caution come out. But a lot of problems on that pit stop put him from being a top 10 contender to a lap down.
Brendan Gaughan's going to need a caution because that first red car is Casey Kane, is the race leader, and is coming fast. His last lap of 30-32. Well, Mark Martindale Jarrett 30-40, 30-60 on the last lap. You wouldn't think 2 or 4 tenths would make a lot of difference.
Outside. Clearing.
Brendan's got that thing up in that groove that he likes here, that high outside line, trying to hold off Casey Kane.
Let's go to
barely there, outside. Clear.
DW, but this is where owner Ray Evernham was in the spotter stand, is trying to work young Casey through that traffic. 3 laps before, so there's a pack of cars that are running a little bit wild in front of you. Let's take our time. We've got a great race car. Let's take our time and work our way through it. Let's just be patient. Remember the good car that you have. And also, we would be remiss, DW, if we didn't mention that today is car owner Ray Evernham and wife Mary's 17th wedding anniversary.
Yeah, congratulations. I'll tell you something else I would personally be remiss of if I didn't mention today is Bill Francis' birthday. And I promise you, Bill, I'll have you a present there tomorrow. I just didn't get around. I've been busy today. I'll get you a present.
And Friday was one of your former car owners' birthdays, Rick Hendrick.
Rick here.
While we're blowing out candles, we'll take a break from Texas Motor Speedway, where Casey Kane leads Sterling Marlin by 5 seconds and is putting a whole lot of good cars 1 lap down.
Welcome back at the Texas Motor Speedway. Casey Kane, who celebrates his birthday next week on Saturday. He'll turn 24 years old. He is the leader. There's Brendan Gaughan as Casey Kane leading the pack. Let's recap a little bit what happened early on. And we've been going green for the last 105 laps. The caution early with Jeff Gordon in the back of Casey Mears. You see the debris flying, and then a number of lead changes off pit road.
Yeah, right there. Rusty Wallace and Sterling Marlin both took on 2 tires, and right after the restart, Sterling Marlin goes underneath Rusty Wallace and takes the lead here in Texas.
And then you see Bill Elliott taking the lead. We have the veterans of Sterling Marlin, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott trading the lead change until Casey Kane took over on lap 49. Dodges dominating the bulk of this race. As we're back to live action, Casey Kane leading Sterling Marlin and Elliot Sadler to the mobile. You know, Kane, highest finishing rookie in 4 of the last 5 Cup races, Jeff, and that disappointing finish at Bristol where he was 40th after the Jamie McMurray incident. He told me on Friday that McMurray apologized to him on Thursday. He got over that, said it would not at all be on his mind as he took to the track today, and so far he's running a good race. race.
So far, I agree with you right now as we see Jeff Gordon right now going underneath Bobby Labonte for position, and that was our pole setter right there, Labonte, and that was for 9th place. But going back to Casey Kane, now Casey really, I thought was going to be tried here at Texas, and it's really good to see him be able to rebound like he did as he's trying to put the veteran Kevin Harvick down a lap right there, coming off, it looks like turn 4. I mean, he has really got a dominant race car right now, Chris, and they've got it hooked up beyond belief.
Look a little further back in the pack. Matt Kenseth moving up to 16th, our current points leader. And Matt, 3 of his 9 career wins have come from the 25th starting position. That's where the 17 car started today. He dipped back to a little bit around 32, but he's working his way back up. And no driver has ever won the Busch race at Texas and then Sunday won the Cup race.
That's true, Chris. But right now, Matt Kenseth is running for his life because in his rearview mirror, he knows that Casey Kane is on a tear and he's coming after him. Right now, he's trying to get every car he can between him and that leader. As you can see right now, he just went by Rusty Wallace for 16th, and he's trying really hard. As we see Casey Kane in the picture right there, he is really breathing down his back.
Let's take a look at Elliot Sadler making a move on Sterling Marlin, or at least trying to. And you know, when we talked about points, remember you have to be within 400 points of the lead coming into today. Guys like Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, Ricky Craven were out of that section so far. They're each 2 laps down, and a caution has come out on lap 118, debris on turn 4, with Casey Kane leading Sterling Marlin.
Huge break right now as we see the caution out there being displayed for Matt Kenseth and several other drivers right now trying to get back on the lead lap here.
All right, let's go back upstairs, rejoin Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
The caution flies with just 17 cars on the lead lap. And by the way, blow out those birthday candles for Rick Hendrick and save them for July 12th. That's when NASCAR Stats has his birthday. Son Ricky Hendrick's birthday was last week. He turned 24.
Me, I know that.
You still got time to get a present.
Pit stops in Texas. Elliot Sadler had been running 3rd before the caution flag. His crew is going to try to crank out another quick one like they did last time around to Matt.
Leader Casey Kane said his car was tight. Tommy Baldwin diagnosed that more as aero-tight in traffic. Win by himself. He's down and away. The 91's out. He said he felt like it was just a little bit tight, Steve.
The 40 car is tight also, Matt. They just put on 4 tires and made an air pressure adjustment, and they also pulled out that left front fender that had been damaged with contact on pit road earlier. Sterling said his car has been tight when he pulls up behind another car.
A fire on pit road, a bit of a fuel spill after Ryan Newman left his pit. No damage. Just a bit of flame and a very quick work by the Texas Motor Speedway Fire Department here to get it out.
A lot of times what will happen is they spill a little fuel out the overflow, and those lug nuts that are coming off, I mean, they are all but on fire, and it'll ignite that fuel.
The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Aaron's Sales and Lease Ownership. Let Aaron's drive your dreams home today. By the new Chevrolets, an American revolution. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. And by Nextel. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. ...120 laps complete here in Texas. You see the orange suit for one of the Speedway firemen, not just here at Texas, but at every Nextel Cup Series track. They wear double-layer Nomex and helmets and a hood. In the hot, blazing sun, they have to stay in that garb all day. They're only occasionally called upon, but they sure work fast when they are. Now, speaking of hot, here's Jeff Hammond with today's WebMD Safety Update.
Inside the cockpit of a race car, temperatures reach as much as 150 degrees. So we've got to keep these drivers cool. We've got to keep them having a clear head and a cool head. And how do we do that? Forcing air in through this NACA duct into a cool box located usually in the right side of the car. That cool air goes inside that box, is cooled down, back through this little hose, and forced into either the side of the helmet in front of the face of the driver or in the top of the helmet to keep his head cool and allow him to get some fresh air. Now look, this is a cool box outside the car, equipped with a carbon monoxide filter, also to clear the air a little bit of any kind of impurities, again, to help make the driver not only have a cool head, but a clear head.
Thanks, Jeff. To keep your family safe and healthy and have a chance to win tickets to races next season in Daytona or Texas, visit drive.webmd.com. Matt Kenseth spent a long time with mechanics underneath that car, Jeannie.
Absolutely, long time and 2 stops. His first time down pit road, it was just a routine stop. He got the fuel, he got the tires. Then he came back in for the adjustment. Basically, he's been fighting a loose car all day, and he said that the car really needed to be tighter, but the bigger issue that he was dealing with right now is that the rear end was steering the front of the car. So that's why they decided to take the time to come on in and make that second adjustment, that second trip down pit road.
Now here's Kurt Busch back.
Yeah, I mean, we're only at race number 7, but these guys are thinking points. He was back there about 15th or 16th. They stayed out 2 extra laps to make sure they led a lap, got those 5 extra bonus points, then they come to pit road to get their 4 fresh tires.
And what the 17 crowd is doing is in the trailing arms there's an eccentric, and you can move the rear end housing in and out, not body-wise, not side to side, but front to rear. They had the right side leading forward, makes it cut really good, but makes it loose.
So a lot of adjustments during this second caution of the day in the Samsung Radioshack 500. Green flag, crank it up, and your favorite onboard. Here we go. Last lap, 181.5 miles an hour. Elliot Sadler, Casey Kane, Sterling Marlin, Greg Biffle. Now, with Brendan Gaughan getting the free pass, there are 21 cars on the lead lap.
But on that restart, when they went through 3 and 4, Elliot Sadler in that 38 car was shot out of a cannon. When he came across to lead that lap, that was the first lap led by a Robert Yates Racing car in 2004. Jamie McMurray in the 42 car, you see the Fox tracks there with the miles per hour. He's trying to stay on the lead lap, but tail end the lead lap, 191 miles an hour at the end of this backstretch. Something's happened to Sterling Marlin in the 40 car up in the 3 and 4.
Couldn't get down to pit road, too much traffic, if that's where he was headed. He is off the pace, but not way off.
He's been in the wall somewhere. He's his right side tires are all got the letters all buffed off him. He must have a flat tire, or else he hit the wall and damaged the car.
But you're right, Mike. He could not get to pit road because 2/3 of the field was coming by him. Steve Burns, he's in trouble though.
I can add. Hey guys, I just heard Sterling Marlin say that he hit the fence, hit the wall coming off of turn 2. Lee McCall said, "Bring it in. We'll work on it."
For a guy that had his second top 5 of 2004 last week at Bristol, just had moved into the top 10 in NASCAR Nextel Cup points.
Marlin will not bring out a caution, which is bad news for Jeremy Mayfield, Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray, who had hopes of getting back to the lead lap.
He didn't just brush the wall. That's a pretty hard lick on the right side for Sterling.
Greg Biffle right in the thick of things, now under pressure from Bill Elliott. This is 3rd place.
Bill got a little bit behind on his adjustments there early in the race. Looks like they got the car a lot better back where it was when they started now.
He got a good run on the bottom side off turn 2 that last time. And they drag raced Greg Biffle in the 16 down in 3 and 4. Biffle didn't have good grip up there, had to really slow the car down. Bill Elliott to take the position away.
Let's show you what happened to Sterling Marlin to bring him to pit road under green.
Yeah, and got in there pretty hard. It knocked the car up in the air. That's a pretty hard lick.
And Darrell, that's right there at the exit of turn 2. You're carrying so much speed there, and sometimes that car just slides just a little bit. You just run out of racetrack.
Dave Blaney, who would like back to run the full schedule for Bill Davis. They've picked up some one-race sponsorship for here in Texas, and from Batesville Speedway and Bad Boy Mowers. So Blaney doesn't want to do any agricultural racing today, but he has always been good here and in Atlanta.
Started back in 20th up to 11th position. What they're trying to do, Mike, is they're trying to at least race this car once a month to keep it visible with or without the sponsorship.
Right behind Blaney, Tony Stewart, as they battle with Robbie Gordon, who's a lap down. Race for 11th place. We saw Terry Labonte's car being pushed behind the wall. Dick Berggren, what's up?
Well, he won here in 1999, Mike, but he surely is not going to win today. They pulled the hood up on the car. Scott Maxim, the engine man, took the top off the distributor, had him crank the engine over, and the rotor didn't turn. That usually indicates it's a broken camshaft. But you guys were talking about Greg Biffle a couple of moments ago, and about that time, Biffle came on his radio and just said, "Woo-wee, loose." We saw it down there in turn 3 and 4, Dick, just a few laps ago.
Teammates Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon running 6th and 7th.
This place is so fast. In the middle of 3 and 4 with our Fox tracks right there, somewhat off the throttle just a little bit, still 160 miles per hour.
Wow. Now Johnson going after the 9 of Casey Kane, or rather after the 8 of Dale Jr. Steve can update Junior.
Hey, Mike, prior to the pit stop, Junior said that the car is free at the start of the run, but then he feels the tires start to chatter. So they took some bite out of the right rear, made some minor air pressure adjustments to the front tires. They considered putting a spring rubber in the right rear to fix that. That can be a lengthy procedure on pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. did not want to do that. Let's go to Matt.
Steve, one of the best race cars at Las Vegas and Atlanta belonged to Casey Mears. He scored a career best finish of 7th at Vegas and was running as high as 7th at Atlanta when the motor blew up. This is the same exact race car. The car a little tighter the last run. Coochie Jimmy Elliott did an air pressure adjustment and wedge adjustment. The car a little free at the beginning, but it's starting to come in nicely now.
Yeah, man, I was watching that car after that first pit stop, and a lot like Bill Elliott, Darrell had mentioned, I think they maybe got a little behind on their adjustments. Now it's starting to really come their way. Casey Mears in the 41.
Mears under pressure now from Derek Cope. And Cope, of course, lost a lot of time when he ran out of gas, and they had to push start that car. He's a couple of laps back.
I tell you what, our point leader, he's having a tough day.
Well, Darrell, everything's bigger in Texas, but this track isn't big enough for some. Sterling Marlin hit the wall, and we understand that Matt Kenseth's been in the fence.
Yeah, he got in the fence over off turn 2, a lot like what Sterling did. He just kind of slid up there and couldn't woe it up, and he crawled up on it pretty hard too.
Not hard enough, it appears, though, to bring him to pit road.
He slowed down a little bit, but not nearly like Sterling did.
Kenseth was running prior to the last pit stop every bit as fast as then leader Casey Kane, except Darrell when he got into traffic, just like yesterday in the Busch race. When he got behind another car, his car didn't work so well.
And a lot of that could be the shock package, Mike. They really work hard. Let's see if we can see what happened to him, because I think our guys found it for us. Now, see, his car didn't rear up quite like Sterling's did. It just kind of brushed the wall. I don't think it was quite as bad.
Same scenario, though. You get that push up off the corner. You're carrying so much speed on the exit, the law of physics kicks in.
But I think the shock package, you know, they come up with shocks that will what they call take care of the tires. I think that's why Matt runs so good on the long run. He takes care of the tires. A lot of that has to do with him. A lot of it has to do with the car itself. And when it does that, you just don't plant the tires in the track quite as hard as you do with other packages.
Two cars that have had no trouble running up behind other cars are Casey Kane and Bill Elliott.
But I tell you who else is not having any problems right now. Kevin Harvick in that blue number 29 car. Now, he is at the tail end of the lead lap back in 19th position, but I've been watching him ever since we restarted this race about 20 laps ago. He's quicker than
and the 2 leaders. But right now his car's out there in clean air. It's getting all that downforce on the nose of that car.
TV doesn't do justice to how bright the blue on that car is. It's hologramic. It's a decal that's somewhat three-dimensional, and it's all iridescent for icebreakers on the hood of that Goodwrench Chevy. It's a sight to see.
It really is. I'd love to see that car like that under the lights. But he's been running that distance in front of Elliot Sadler in the 38 ever since we restarted this race.
Elliot Sadler, 0.3 of a second up on Casey Kane.
Good battle right here. Jimmy Johnson just diming the corner off. That's for 4th place and drove right under Biffle.
Here's Matt on Casey Kane.
Casey Kane still runs in second, trying to close in on the 38 of Elliot Sadler. We told you on the previous run that Casey said the car was really tight as he inches ever closer to the 38. Tommy Baldwin didn't want to over-adjust, so he said, was it really tight when you were behind cars or by yourself? He said it was worse when I was behind cars and you picked up more of an aero push. So he didn't want to over-adjust it, made a slight track bar and air pressure adjustment as Casey starts to yard him on the outside, takes the lead going into 3. He said the car was tight, but it's getting better, obviously, as he takes the lead again.
One way not to have trouble behind other cars, pass them all.
Get out in front of him. That's what he did off turn 2 that last time.
Casey Kane reassumes the lead at 145 laps in the Samsung Radioshack 500. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Subway. Subway, eat breath. By new Levitra. New choice, here now. Ask your doctor today. By WebMD, redefining modern medicine. And by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-size.
Mach 3 Turbo Champion invites you to enter the Gillette Young Guns Challenge. Each week, a lucky fan will win $5,000. Just go to www.GilletteYoungGuns.com for more details. And you see the running order of some of those young guns. They've all had a successful run so far. The youngest of the guns, Casey Kane here at the Great American Speedway on lap 145, retaking the lead. We've got 152 laps, 182 to go. We have the veterans leading early. We've had, of course, from the pole, Bobby Labonte fading back. There is Casey Kane in his Evernham Dodge, and Elliot Sadler running second. Bill Elliott in the Evernham Dodge running third.
Well, so far right now, Chris, this young man now looks like he's on a rail. Tommy Baldwin and that whole Evernham team have really got this car hooked up. And, you know, we talked a little earlier about what happened to him last week at Bristol. Well, buddy, I guarantee you right now, it definitely didn't affect his attitude as far as coming out here and getting the job done.
We'll look back in the pack a little. Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle, but there's Jeff Gordon up to 6, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 7. Jeff Gordon, one of the few tracks he has not won out here, although he's run in the top 5. And you see Jeff there in his 24 car. Obviously, he's a guy who needs a win, has talked about getting back in victory lane this year.
Yeah, and when you come here at Texas, a place where he hasn't really done that well as he tries to make a move underneath Jamie McMurray, who happens to be a couple laps down, but at the same time, he really needs to get back on track. He needs some solid runs, get up there and challenge these guys, but so far he hasn't been able to do it.
All right, now let's check in for more on Jeff Gordon with Matt Yogan. Matt?
Jeff Gordon would love to put a check mark next to Texas on a win list. He's come close here, finishing second and third, but hasn't been able to close the deal. Hard to believe he hasn't scored a top 5 finish this year. They've been on both ends of the spectrum today, between both loose and tight. On the last run, he was loose on entry and tied off. Robbie Loomis made a track bar and wedge adjustment. The car is slowly taking off, currently running in the 6th position. But Jeff Hammond, he told me they feel like that this tire is going to be a tire that Jeff is really going to take to. They just have to figure it out more and more. And believe it or not, they've never gone to Kentucky to test. They're going to do it next week.
Well, right now, as he's saying that, that's exactly what this team needs to do. And a lot of drivers, including guys like Dale Earnhardt, Matt Kenseth, I think a lot of the veteran drivers have struggled with the feel of this race car, and they really need to go to a place like Kentucky and work on the field.
All right, Jeff Gordon trying to catch Greg Biffle in the 16 car, currently running in the 5th spot. Let's listen in.
Greg, our lap times are a little better than the run before. I think if we try the track bar, car. Maybe we can keep the wedge where it is. See if that'll help you at all.
Yeah, I agree. I'm better, but just a little too loose to be aggressive.
10-4.
Right now, Chris, you're listening to the crew chief right there, Doug Richard, talking to his driver, and they're trying to come up with a combination of the adjustments between the track bar and the wedge to try to make it where it will do what Greg wants the car to do and allow him to be aggressive. He doesn't want the car too tight, but he can't stand it to be too loose either, so that when he gets out the throttle, starts really wanting to get aggressive with the wheel and get up on it, the car will get away from him. So he's got to be real careful with these adjustments.
All right, let's go upstairs. Larry Mack on that. Larry?
You know, we've been listening to a lot of communications between Greg Biffle and his crew chief, Doug Richard. They have a good chemistry right now. Doug's very confident when he tells Greg something. It sounds like Greg believes in him. And a lot of people don't know the history of Doug Richard. He was the crew chief when Dale Earnhardt won his very first Winston Cup championship back in 1980. Doug has a lot of experience, has searched around for the right place. I believe he's found the right place here of late.
I tell you, it's all in, it's people. It's all about getting the right people in the right places. I think we saw that with Rusty Wallace and some of the changes he's made, and now we're seeing it with Biffle and Doug Richard.
Greg Biffle in 5th. Casey Kane is our leader. Dale Jr., 7th place, and he's just ahead of pole sitter Bobby Labonte and Joe Nemechek. There you see that he's 10 seconds off the lead. He has led. He's been as far deep in the field as 10th. Now up at 2nd place, that's heating up between Elliot Sadler and Bill Elliott. So we've got Dodge, Ford, Dodge, Chevy with Jimmy Johnson 4th and Greg Biffle 5th. There's the 2nd place race. And a moment ago, it's settled out at about half a second now between them.
I tell you, these guys are battling for 2nd, but that kid up there leading this race, Casey Kane, he's in his own time zone right now because he's almost 3/10 of a lap quicker than this group right here, Elliot Sadler in the 38 and Casey's teammate Bill Elliott in the 91.
He's living on Tulsa time right now.
Dick Bertrand.
Elliot Sadler is having his best run of the year right now, Mike. When you were talking about people, Todd Parrott, his crew chief, has just been on the radio telling him be smooth. We have a long way to go. That in response to Sadler's comment that the car is free off, tight in the middle, and free in. They will make some adjustments to that automobile to make sure by the end of the day it is built Ford tough.
Elliot Sadler leading Ford in the race in 2nd place. Greg Biffle is 5th. Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth.
There you see his crew chief, Todd Parrott, has 1 win here as a crew chief with Dale Jarrett. They came here and tested a few weeks ago. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I talked to Todd Parrott this morning, and he just had so much confidence about that race car. But that 24 car, I believe he's getting a little stronger as we approach the halfway point of this race. Jeff Gordon, as he battles his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48. This is a battle for 4th, and Greg Biffle in that 16 is right in the mix.
Yeah, they just passed Biffle. And Gordon had been tracking Jimmy Johnson for a long, long time, Darrell. Hadn't put a move on him.
Yeah,
now.
And we heard Biffle say, I can't be aggressive right now. So he's not going to put up a real hard fight. He's just probably fall in behind these guys and follow them for a while.
If you can't be aggressive, Darrell, after a lap or two of being frustrated at that, how do you change your game plan?
Well, you just got to realize that the best thing you can do is get in a place where there's nobody around you, nobody that close in front of you, nobody right up under your back bumper, so you can focus solely on your driving. A loose race car takes a lot of concentration, and I think that's what he's trying to do, is find a place where he's comfortable without anybody pressuring him.
Back behind Biffle is Earnhardt Jr. and then Bobby Labonte, the pole sitter, who runs in 8th place. Steve Burns.
And Michael Fatback McSwain, his crew chief, just asked for a status check on his race car, and Bobby said, well, after the first 10 laps, the car was really too loose. Now it's got a bad push. A similar situation, Matt Yoakum, that you described on Jeff Gordon's car.
Ryan Newman inching into the top 10, currently running in the 10th position. He survived a wheel vibration back on lap 82. Back on lap 120, Matt Borland made a wedge and air pressure adjustment on the left side of the tires because the car was still tight, a condition he's been fighting all day long. Ryan just told Matt on the radio, we've got a top 5 car, we just can't get through traffic to prove it.
On the right, Jeff Gordon has passed Jimmy Johnson. They went past Greg Biffle. Jeff worked him over, finally got past his teammate. But it wasn't easy. Jimmy didn't make it easy for him.
No, well, when you got one guy high, one guy low, you got to come together somewhere. And it's usually on the exit of the turn. The guy on the inside usually has to lift a little bit, and he loses his momentum.
You know, guys, with our sport somewhat being an engineering-driven sport, they look at trends. And I know even this morning in our production meeting, we talked about cautions. I think only having 2 cautions at this point of the race, when you look at last year, we had 10 cautions. I think that has thrown some of these teams a little bit of a curve. Not many opportunities to adjust that race car.
Well, the average speed of the fastest race here was by Terry Labonte, and that was 144.2 miles an hour. And right now, we're averaging 156 miles an hour. So we're way up as far as average speed goes.
You see Jimmy Spencer there in front of our leader, who picked up the ride in the what is now the Featherlight Chevy, the Morgan McClure car, made an unscheduled pit stop under green, and then for exiting too fast had to make a penalty stop. So Spencer goes another lap down to Casey Kane, our leader in Texas. Back to the Samsung Radioshack 500, where Casey Canes has a 4-second lead on Elliot Sadler, Bill Elliott, and Jeff Gordon. You can race the pros online, only at foxsports.com, keyword games. .175 laps complete out of 334, puts us just past halfway. And Casey Kane has clearly been the class of the field today.
But hold the phone. Somebody lit a fire under that 24 car. I've been watching him, and he is slowly creeping in.
Tell you what we're creeping in on as well. As you look up here at our ticker, we've been seeing that we're not that many laps away from another green flag stop. About 5 to 10 laps. All these guys will be in there for 4 tires and adjustments. Adjustments that a lot of them are looking forward to.
Yeah, our point leader, he's in big trouble. He's there on the outside going down the back. After scraping that wall, he's gone a lap down again. Or a lap down.
If you joined us late, a long run of green flag racing have put all but the top 17 a lap down, and that includes this man, Jeremy Mayfield, who changed engines earlier in the weekend, started from the back, worked his way up into the top 20, and now comes in for tires under green.
I tell you, pretty amazing that we're past the halfway point of this race, and that we're race number 7. We've not seen a lot of races this year with this many green flag runs. Only 2 cautions, as you saw earlier, for 11 laps.
It's kind of taking on the complexion of an Atlanta race, you know, like we had a lot of green over there, some green flag stops. Big racetrack, you can kind of get strung out, and if your car's not right, you can find someplace to ride along until you can get it better.
You know, just like we talked in the beginning, and it's even more important under green flag stops, as we saw what it did to Derek Cope earlier. No mistakes. No mistakes by the crew. No mistakes by that driver getting in or off pit road. But you can't be too delicate. You can't give up a bunch of time getting to pit road especially either.
Yeah, I really want to pay attention to Casey Kane in the 9 car when he comes to pit road this time and see how his entry and exit fares with everybody else, because he was real soft that first time in.
Well, we'll pay close attention. Right now, he has a 6-second lead over Elliot Sadler. Should they pit together, we'll see what that difference ends up being after green flag stop.
Well, let's go to the leader's pit. Here's Matt.
Mike, in about another 2 laps, owner Ray Evernham will remind Casey every time he gets to turn 3 to glance off to see where your entry point for pit road will be so he can get a great entry onto pit road. Casey came back and said, by the way, as a 17 and 91 are on pit road, he came on the radio and said, I feel like I hit a koozie, which holds a cold beverage from the stands. They're going to take a look at the nose. To Nick Berger.
Bill Elliott had been running 3rd. He is in for a pit stop, and for the first time this day, they are going to adjust the chassis. It's a pretty good one. 2 rounds of wedge, changing the track bar as well as they go through the 4-tire stop with 2 cans of fuel. Remember, this is a pickup crew so far today. They've done a fine job, including just then.
Good stop. Johnny Sauter's in, Matt Kenseth, Derek Cope, Jimmy Spencer, Michael Waltrip. Ward Burton comes on to pit road along with Jeff Green and Ricky Rudd. Jimmy Johnson's in as well.
These are routine pit stops. All of them will be for 4 tires and adjustments and full of fuel.
Now Casey Kane, the race leader, comes to pit road.
But he's really slow, and he keeps it out there. And
Go. Check. Clear.
I'm not, listen, he's a rookie.
And he's not going to. He's got a great car. He doesn't want to make any mistakes, but he's giving up a lot of time right there, guys.
He and Elliot Sadler are pitting on the same lap, as is Greg Biffle.
Uh-oh, the 38's over the line. They got to push him back.
There's that mistake right there by the driver.
Matt.
Casey Kane is in. Rodney Rhodes puts the second can of fuel in as Jim Pullman goes to work on the left side along with Joe Krushak. Nice stop by the Dodge boys. He's down and away. No changes to the 9.
Greg Biffle is done. Kurt Busch is in. Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon,
who had assumed the lead.
Yes, coming down pit road. Robbie Gordon makes his stop. So does Joe Nemechek.
And Ryan Newman.
The 9 car had a pretty comfortable lead over Jeff Gordon in the 24. Let's see how they shake out when they go back. All get back on the racetrack.
Matt.
Jeff Gordon's in. They go work on the left side of the race car. They're going to try to tighten the 24 car up with an air pressure adjustment. Going to put scuffs on this race car for the first time today. You can see a little bit of take work done to the left front headlight, a little bit of cosmetic damage earlier in the race to the 24 car.
You know, I saw them do something that you don't see very often anymore. They were cleaning the windshield. Normally you would have those tear-offs that everybody uses, and you just rip one of those off.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they had already used what they had. I know they have the extra man for the windshield now. Maybe they decided not to pull one off and just clean it.
Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, Rusty Wallace are done. Bobby Labonte is in with Dale Jr. Steve.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mike, is saying that his car is a little better now from the center off. They make a chassis adjustment to the right rear corner of the race car. 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Bobby Labonte. Labonte's getting a tire or air pressure adjustment. He says he's been sliding the nose. Jr. is away.
Dale Jarrett is done. Casey Mears is in, along with Brendan Gaughan, Dave Blaney, Jamie McMurray, and Larry Foyt.
Talk about mistakes on pit road. We documented Elliot Sadler, who'd been running second. Here he comes on the pit road. Now he's pitting pretty close to the entrance of pit road. You saw him lock the brakes up right there. He comes into his pit box 45 miles per hour. But right here, he's right on that front line. And you see the official there waving them back. As long as they move him back before they complete the stop, that's perfectly legal, Dick Berger.
And Larry, he had been sliding into his pits on the prior 2 stops as well, just locking the brakes up and sliding beyond the line that's on pit road where he is supposed to stop the car. This time it just went a little further, and he went over the line, had to back it up. A mistake by Elliot Sadler.
Kyle Petty completes his pit stop in the Petty Dodge as we pretty much cycle through this round of green flag stops.
Well, Casey Kane's green flag stop ended up being okay. When he came to pit road before his stop, he was 7 seconds ahead. Now he's 6 3/4 seconds ahead of his teammate Bill Elliott, so everything worked out just fine.
Yeah, he just looks slow getting in, but it's working for him.
Casey Kane, Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, and Elliot Sadler is the way we stand at 186 laps. The Tommy Baldwin led through celebrates a pit stop that put his driver back into the lead. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Miller. Vote Miller for president of beers. Good call. By Ford, the official truck of NASCAR. By Wendy's Classic Hamburgers. It's better here. And by Radioshack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Glad to have you with us. This is a Visa Race Break from the Texas Motor Speedway. 11 different leaders, 19 lead changes. Casey Kane on top right now with Bill Elliott, with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel. Let's take a quick look back at some familiar names. It hasn't gone okay at the corral for some of these guys, like Texas's own Terry Labonte with a broken camshaft done for the day. Explain that one.
What that is the camshaft is actually what makes the valves go up and down based off of the front crank on the car. So when it quit working, the engine died.
Took him out. Sterling Marlin, who led for 18 laps, brushes the wall. They had problems and has taken Sterling out of the lead pack here. And then Matt Kenseth, adjustment in the pits, giving those DeWalt tools a workout.
Yeah, they're trying to move the rear end housing back, but unfortunately he bounces it off the wall shortly after that. His day's not looking very good right now, but he's still struggling on.
Matt Kenseth, the points leader, certainly at this point a lap down, trying to play catch up with those Dodgers at the top. Casey Kane running first, followed by Bill Elliott, and then you've got Jeff Gordon, who's trying to make his move.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job right now trying to get himself back up there in competition and get him in position where he could possibly win this race, but he's going to have to get just a little bit better if he wants to get up there and contend with Casey Kane, but every now and then he'll put up a lap. It's pretty impressive.
We got a problem with Ryan Newman in turn 4.
Oh, hard on the inside wall right there, Chris.
All right, Ryan Newman in trouble. Let's go upstairs.
That will bring out the caution. Darrell, you're looking right at it. He got up way up high.
I think he had something happen. Could have been a right front tire, but he just started into 3 over there, and the car just kept going. He couldn't stop it.
And Matt, he was running in the 10th position when this happened.
He climbed up to 10th. Right after that last stop, Larry Mack, Ryan came on the radio and said it feels like maybe we've got the left side tires on the right side and the right side tires on the left side. He said the car feels horrible. And then after a few more laps, actually the car feels fine now. It just felt like we were a little bit down on air pressure in the right front, but it's coming around very nicely. And then all of a sudden, you see what happens now.
Yeah, I mean, the last lap time that he ran was a good lap. It wasn't like something that happened the lap before that.
He's in the wall as we see him here at turn number 4. And with the right front down, a shower of sparks as he goes to the apron and clocks the inside wall. Ryan's okay. The caution, a tough break for Sterling Marlin, who had just made a green flag pit stop. Welcome back to Texas. Under the 3rd caution of the day, Ryan Newman, while running 10th, pounded the wall between turns 3 and 4 to put us under caution. He climbed out of the car. He is okay. 20 cars on the lead lap. Jeremy Mayfield will get the free pass when they line up for the restart. Pit road will be open this time.
It's pretty good news for Mayfield because he's got a decent race car.
Yeah, we watched him. He'd been running about as quick as his teammate Casey Kane, just was so far behind.
Check that 14. There'll be 15 cars on the lead lap when we go back to green. Here are the race leaders in and amongst the lap down cars. Lead lap cars only to pit road the first time pit road is open under caution.
First car to be peeling off will be Bill Elliott in the 91 car and Dick Berggren. Bill Elliott and his crew chief, Sammy Johns, talked it over. They decided that the last time they pitted, they changed too much on the car. As a result, they're going to take a little bit of wedge out of the left rear. That's Chris Dana's job, and change the track bar just a little bit as well. To that.
Leader Casey Kane in, crew chief Tom Baldwin Jr. going to go for the 4-tire change. They said they felt like some guys may try to, but they wanted to stick to their game plan. He's down and away, Steve.
Matt, pretty big adjustments for Dale Earnhardt Jr. They're going to put a spring rubber in the right rear. They make a track bar adjustment and a wedge adjustment. 4 tires going on for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pretty aggressive changes here on that 8 car. He wants the car to turn better.
Kurt Busch had to come around Rusty Wallace's car, which was already in Rusty's pit, to get into his pit, and in doing so, Kurt went over the line. The NASCAR official motioned him back. He got into the correct position, but it'll be a lengthy stop for Kurt.
Yeah, they're working on Rusty's car. It looked like they're putting a spring rubber in the right rear of it. His guys were kind of stuck out there, and Kurt had to go around them, and when he did, he slid through his pit box slightly, and they pushed him back.
And I definitely think with less than 20 laps on a lot of these lead lap cars' tires, like Dick Berggren was talking, I definitely think we had a few guys that changed only those 2 right side tires trying to get that track position.
I know one that did, and that's the 48 car. He only took 2 tires.
The hood was up and down for Sterling Marlin. Now he goes back out. And Jeannie, how about Matt Kenseth?
Well, they're only racing 4 cars 1 lap down, so they're hoping to be the lucky dog. They're going to come in here. They do have a problem. Matt Kenseth came on the radio and said, I brushed the wall again. They're concerned about the toe-in, possible bent rear end housing situation. So they will take a quick look at the car. But again, the plan, routine pit stop to get him back out there to get back on that lead lap.
These are lap down cars making their pit stops under the 2nd lap that the pits are open. Kevin Harvick up at the turn 4 end of pit road, quickly finished. And this is where things get congested when a lot of cars are lapped toward the middle portion of the race.
Yeah, I mean, this is everyone pitting except for the lead lap cars, whether you're 1 lap down, 2 laps down, or more than that.
Steve Burns.
Hey, Mike, just want to update you on Bobby Labonte. Interesting strategy here. All they did to that car was put some gas in it. No tires for the 18 of Bobby Labonte.
That will make him the leader.
Well, like we talked, Steve, you know, maybe he felt good on that set of tires, and he didn't want to take a chance of just putting 2 on to mess the balance up of it.
Yeah, a lot of the guys were scuffing tires, so that's just a good scuff on his tires.
Mistakes on pit road can cost you. Rookie Scott Wimmer came in not under this caution flag stop, but under the green flag stop prior. And let's show you what happened. Watch the jack man come around to the left side of the car and get the car up in the air. And did somebody misinterpret a signal here? because the car either fell off or Wimmer tried to drive it off the jack while the jack was still up. Now he goes across the line where they get the final couple lug nuts on, but that is pitting out of the box. He had to come back for a 15-second time penalty.
Very costly mistake, especially on the green.
So Bobby Labonte, with a gas and go pit stop, becomes the leader in Texas.
I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, head of the line. Wanted, head of the
It's, yeah, 10-gallon mouth. It's the Fox Posse when it comes to NASCAR. We dress up like that every weekend, not just when we come to Texas. Speak for yourself.
That's true. I mean, none of us really looked in place, but Dick Berger, well, I don't know where that came from.
One of those little Stevie bandanas.
Yeah. It wasn't hard to pick out the good guys and the bad guys, was it?
The thing is right now, Daryl, what I don't understand is why did they give you that nickname? I don't understand that.
I'll explain later.
Oh, okay.
All right. No, Dick Berger.
Oh, no, you don't. You keep your bell and you keep it right there.
All right, enough of this. Oh, there's a Dick Berger's got his Bill Brown Deuce hat special. He's going to deliver newspapers later. And there's Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum. This is what they look like without the hats, just so you get this. There's Calamity Jeannie. All right, smiling, as always. All right, let's get ready to go here. Dick Berger looks like a Pirates of the Caribbean guy with the bandana, didn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, it's the Over the David Hill gang.
Hey.
Here we go. Bobby Labonte took gas only, and he's going to lead this field down for the restart at lap 204.
204. And you know what we say, DW? Cautions normally breed caution, so better look out here. A lot of guys wanting to get that lap back right here.
And guys have made their cars better, and I think they have a shot.
Look at them, 3 wide going into turn 1. Brandon Gaughan in the 77. He's trying to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and of course, I think Bobby, on those older tires, pick up a lot of trash, a lot of debris, hard to get going on the restarts.
And Casey Kane had to go way up the hill in turn 1. He may have dirtied up his stuff. Look at this land rush.
How about that Army car? Joe Nemechek in that 01 car. He's going to take the lead away from Bobby Labonte in the 18 car. He wants to lead this Texas race.
I like that 48 car. He got himself 2 tires, full tank of fuel. I don't know, that 16 looks like he might be one down in there, too.
They were 3 wide at the start-finish line that time. Greg Biffle, he's going to go from 4th to 2nd going through 1 and 2. Yeah, Bobby Labonte continues to lose positions. I just don't know that. I think he may have pit trash up on those tires,
yeah,
Darryl.
But week in and week out, Larry, we see guys try this. They try to go too far on the tires. These tires need to be changed every chance you get.
Especially those right sides. They're doing all the work.
Steve, does Bobby Labonte have a problem?
It sure sounds like it, Mike. He just told Fatback McSwain, he said this motor won't run. They're losing some voltage. Fatback said we might change a battery. Just hang on as long as you can.
Now going into turn number 3, Jeff Burton was in between his teammate Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. We'll show you the result. Whoa.
That's a nervous race car right there, and it's being driven by a nervous driver after that happens.
How about Brendan Gaughan on that restart? I told you if there was a hole in the fence, he'd stick his nose in it, and there he went.
Well, he knows with guys like Casey Kane back here in that 9 car that has a fast race car, you want to put all the distance you can on these guys. I'm going to tell you a guy, though, that he's not going to mess with lap cars very long. Greg Biffle in that 16 car, who's running in 2nd right now, but he's had Scott Riggs in the 10 and Jamie McMurray in the 42 running side by side right in front of him, holding him up.
We heard them talking about the adjustment they were going to make on the track car, and he wanted to get the cars a little bit better in traffic. I think he's done that. Greg Biffle in the 16.
There he is right behind Jamie McMurray.
Uh-oh, McMurray.
Something happened to McMurray going off into turn 3 in the 42 car.
I don't see any smoke.
But he's in trouble, Darryl. It happened right at the end of the backstretch.
And he'd like to get down, but he can't.
You see the Fox tracks right there. He should be running about 170 to 80 miles per hour right there. He's only running about 140.
That car, don't forget now, he and his teammate, they lost engines at Atlanta. Very similar situation.
by turn 3. McMurray definitely got way up in the gray and got a lot of that stuff on his tires, but now he's coming back.
He's coming back to life now.
You know what? I bet he had ignition problem, Larry. I bet the thing quit running on him. They told him to switch boxes. And he's back going again. I guarantee you that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, look at his miles per hour, 193, 194 miles per hour into turn 1. Jeannie, looks like whatever was wrong, it's fixed.
Well, what happened was the battery went dead, guys. Jamie coming on the radio knowing that's what it was. It reminds me of a situation yesterday with Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the Busch race. One of the gauges didn't work, so he just kind of gave it a little flick with his finger. I don't know what magic Jamie McMurray is working in that car, but he got it back on.
Well, Jeannie, I'm curious. Now, some of these teams, we talk about 2 ignition systems. Is it possibly he's carrying 2 batteries and went to the backup battery by flipping a switch?
That's exactly right. He has 2 batteries, so that's what he flicked when he hit on the gauge. That's what it was. It was the flipping the switch to the second battery, so they're feeling pretty lucky in the 42 pit right now.
Battle for 4th, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane. Darrell, I love how drivers think. If you see a gauge giving you a reading you don't like, what's your first thought?
No, you just ignore it.
Yeah, it must be the gauge.
Yeah, well, you know what? I asked them all the time, why do you put gauges in these cars for anyway? We never look at them.
All right, Brendan Gaughan is going to fall off the lead lap. Joe Nemechek passed him as Jeff Gordon works over Casey Kane.
But, you know, I'm curious here, guys. You know, I never wanted, a battery's heavy. I know it never wanted to carry 2 batteries because that's a lot of weight. But here you've got Jamie McMurray that had a backup battery, was able to go to it. And if indeed the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, has a battery going down, evidently they do not have a backup battery in that car. And they'll lose many laps here trying to change battery. There you see all the things coming to possibly change that battery. That's Peter Jellin, the truck driver for Bobby Labonte, bringing everything back to the pits. And he continues to lose ground. But this is where you go, boy, I wish we had a backup battery if indeed that's the problem.
I don't think there's many cars out there that are carrying an extra battery. That surprises me. I know about the ignition system that you can swap from A to B, but an extra battery is unusual. That may be what gave them the problem, is the fact that it does have an extra battery.
All right, we're back under green with Joe Nemechek leading Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, and Jeff Gordon after the 3rd caution, which was brought out by Ryan Newman, crashing between 3 and 4. Dick Berggren is with Ryan.
Ryan Newman out of the care center. What happened out there?
I don't know if he blew a tire or cut a tire going into 3, but the Alton Dodge just slid up and got into the fence. And, you know, it sure would be nice if they had a safer barriers up there. It'd be a lot easier to bounce off of, but we'll see what happens. We'll go get him in Martinsville.
Glad you're okay.
Martinsville in 2 weeks. A weekend off for the Nextel Cup teams, although the Busch cars will be in action Saturday at Nashville. We'll have that for you next Saturday on FX.
Back to a short track, but you know, when I look at Ryan Newman, last 3 races, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, he had slipped to 5th in the points, was really coming on strong, so this will hurt him today.
Jimmy Johnson was breaking quite a hole in traffic for he and Casey Kane, and now that they're free of traffic, Casey's going after him for 3rd place. And they're closing fast on Greg Biffle, the 2nd place car.
Casey Kane in 9, as you see right there coming off turn 4, he has really made that second groove work for most of this race, especially down there in 3 and 4.
I'll tell you, he's made that car work wherever he wants it to. That sucker will go low, it'll go high, and it'll go down the straightaway. He got the whole package today. But the guy that I keep an eye on is that 48 car, because he looked like he was coming on pretty strong too.
Their positions 2 through 5. Back to Jeff Gordon. Elliot Sadler 6th. Bill Elliott 7th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 8th. Tony Stewart is 9th.
Dave Blaney, he has made it up there to the top 10 now. He's in 10th place in that 23 car.
For more on batteries, let's get a jolt from Jeff Hamilton.
Mike, I'm down here by the Ford Cutaway car. I want to show you where the battery is located. It's located right in behind the driver here, in front of the left rear wheel. Now, if they decide to change the battery, they'll come in here, they'll take the cover door off, pull this battery back out. We see sometimes their animation. This is the battery. Here is the plug-in. They'll unplug it, plug the new one back in, pick it back up, slide it right back in, and away she'll go. Hopefully they'll get that done and not lose a lap on pit road and catch it during a caution if they can work things just right.
And Jeff, I know you had a regular
oversized battery there, but what I've seen going on, the battery that a lot of teams are running are about half the size of that battery, so you can actually put 2 in that battery compartment you're at right there, which is not a huge weight disadvantage.
As a matter of fact, one of the teams that I know for a fact is running 2 batteries is Dale Earnhardt Jr. If you remember, not too long ago, he lost the Daytona 500 because of a battery problem. And when I talked to the crew chief on that car, Tony Urey Sr., he told me that won't happen to him again. He's got one of those switches and he carries 2 batteries every Sunday.
Once bitten, twice shy. For more information on the Ford Cutaway car, log on to foxsports.com, keyword Ford Cutaway. Here's Jeannie.
Johnny Wingo, is it a situation where it's 2 smaller batteries, just a decision to carry 2 batteries for an event just like this?
I don't know what happened there. I mean, he complained about the power steering a little bit, so I don't know if the belts come off of it or what, but for some reason the alternator's not charging. When he went down the corner, the car just cut off, so he switched to the other battery, and right now we're okay. We just can't run any fans or anything.
Pretty routine for you, though, to carry 2 batteries?
Yeah, I mean, we do that every week, you know, just in case something like this happens. But, I mean, if we run the whole race here, we might have to put another battery in it.
Thanks, sir.
The question becomes, as Bobby Labonte comes to pit road, Larry, will that one remaining battery have enough juice to get you to lap 334?
Well, as you heard Donnie Wingo, as crew chief, say, they have cut everything off. All the driver cooling, any rear end cooling. The only thing right now it has to have in power is the ignition system itself, which with over 100 laps to go, that can draw a fresh battery down. But Steve Burns, I think you're there with Bobby Labonte where they've had to come to pit road to change that battery in that 18 car.
Larry Mack, you're doing exactly what Jim Hammond just said. That left rear tire comes off. Disconnect the battery. They ran to the truck to get a spare one. Michael McSwain telling his team just to take their time, make sure they do it right. The battery now comes out. They throw it over the wall, and the replacement battery is going in. A lengthy stop for Bobby Labonte, but they have switched out the battery.
Scott Zipadelli makes the repair.
And there you see it right there. They had to take that door right there off, as you saw Jeff Hammond. There you see that quick disconnect, the marine application. They'll have to pull that loose, slide that old battery out, slide the new one in. And they're probably going to lose about 3 to 4 laps here under green at Texas. There you see the left rear tire going back on. Very costly. They would have loved to have been able to do that under caution, because under caution you could do it here at Texas without losing a lap.
Bobby Labonte is away. He was on pit road for about 1:05. Joe Nemechek out in front with an army of 1. Matt?
Casey Kane has cut Joe Nemechek's lead to about 1.6 seconds. Back on the last pit stop, the 9 car took on 4 tires. Joe's team went the 2-tire strategy and a slight air pressure adjustment in that right rear tire. Remember, this team that Joe was driving for last year finished 4th here at Texas with Jerry Nadeau. They would love to close the deal and pick up a win here today. We'll be back right after this.
Here's our NASCAR race menu brought to you by Wendy's Classic Hamburgers. It's better here. Next Saturday, live from Nashville, NASCAR Busch Series racing 3:30 Eastern Time. And in 2 weeks, America's best racers come to Martinsville, Virginia, the short track that thinks it's a super speedway, the Advanced Auto Parts 500. Here in Texas, 233 laps complete. Joe Nemechek leading over Casey Kane, and that's Brendan Gaughan on pit road.
And it's about the time when you start having those engine woes. If there's something wrong with the car, like the battery, or in a lot of cases the engine, you're going to start to see it from here to the end of the race.
Remember, Jeff Hammond talked about that in the pre-race, and in fact, at the same time, Derek Cope in the 50 car went to the garage, Jerry.
I mean, we've been running under green a lot and been hammering on these things a lot. This last 100 miles are hard on them.
Cope will join Ryan Newman, Johnny Benson, Terry Labonte, Kirk Shelmerdine, and Todd Bodine out of the race. 37 of the 43 starters still running. Just 14 of those on the lead lap. And we've been running about 11 to 14 cars finishing on the lead lap here in Texas.
You know, Darrell, I don't want to bother you right now. You're out there still racing at 180, 190 miles per hour, but I have to start thinking about strategy. We were on pit road at lap 199. That means we had about 135 laps to go. If I can run 67 and 68 laps on this stop, then we can possibly make it on one stop. But there's some cars that's very borderline. But to expand on Jamie McMurray's woes, I want to go down to the fourth cutaway car with Jeff Hammond with our Craftsman adjustment.
Larry, we were talking a little while ago about these guys having battery problems. I think it's important we explain that the battery is not the culprit here. The battery is strictly a storage cell. Something has happened to the alternator on these race cars, which is located right here on the Ford cutaway car. Now, some of the guys maybe run the big alternator, which looks a little bit like this when it's off the car. This alternator actually puts out more voltage than its smaller counterpart, which is run a lot of time on a bigger racetrack. Like maybe here in Texas, some of the guys are trying to make more horsepower and not produce as much voltage back in the battery, and it may be getting them in trouble. If this alternator goes out, eventually the battery will run down, and that can create a problem, which we're seeing with several of the cars. And to add to that, the 42 car, if he has to come in on a pit stop and make a change, it will take about 1 minute to change that battery.
Thanks, Jeff. Now, Larry, if the alternator is the problem, how long would it take to change the alternator?
Well, we talked about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s problems at Daytona. Those guys had worked it out where they thought under caution at Daytona now, that's a 2.5-mile racetrack, they thought they could change it out under caution without losing a lap. That will never happen, I don't think, here at Texas because this is only a 1.5-mile racetrack. But I think if there's a car out there that wants a caution, it would be the 42 car because right here, with this many laps to go, they could put a fresh battery in that car and be able to go the distance.
While Jeff made that report, you saw Casey Kane go back into the lead. Darrell, this young fella just will not be denied today.
Oh, yeah. No, the car is so fast. It's so good. He's been able to drive it wherever he wants to. When he catches somebody, he doesn't mess around very long. He gets right on by them. This car is just phenomenal today. Every now and then you get one like that. Take advantage of it.
22nd lead change today. The record for Texas, 29 lead changes among 17 drivers. But look at in the center of the oval, next to Casey's picture, look at how that gap keeps opening up over Joe Nemechek and the rest of this field.
I mean, that last lap, Casey Kane beat Joe Nemechek by half a second. Casey Kane is still running in the 29-second bracket this far into this race.
I know. If you called me and said, okay, what do you want to do to it? I say, man, leave it alone. Don't do anything to it.
But, Mike, if we indeed do go green, remember, we have one final pit stop. We've seen it all day long. This is where you go to those pit crew guys and you say, look, 5 off, 5 on. We can't have any mistakes. You preach the same thing to that driver about getting on the pit road.
The other thing is normally race cars, Everhands cars, they don't get great gas mileage. They're making a lot of steam, but you burn a lot of fuel doing it.
Kurt Busch right now in position to take the point lead from his Roush teammate Matt Kenseth. Jack Roush's cars, winners of 3 of 7 so far here in Texas. I've been watching this the last 3 laps. Robbie Gordon keeps trying to find a hole between Dale Jarrett and Jeff Green. He's finally got one to get through.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon in the 31 and Dale Jarrett, they're racing for 18th position, 1 lap down. Now Jeff Green in the 43 car, he's 2 laps down back in 24.
That was too close for comfort over the last 4 or 5 laps. I'm glad it shook out.
I don't know if it's shaking out or not.
No, maybe not.
Shaking up the way it's going. Oh, Robbie got in there really, really high. Lost a lot of ground.
But you know what, Mike, Darrell, we're here for our 8th race. A lot of heat given to Eddie Gossage, Bruton Smith about you can't race side by side on this racetrack. When I look at the corners, we have a groove 2/3 of the way up this racetrack. So right here at the Great American Speedway, we've got good racing.
Casey Kane trying to dispel that theory as he stepped out to a lead of 2.6 seconds over Joe Nemechek in the Samsung Radioshack 500. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by UPS, official express delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck. 248 laps complete here in Texas. That's Casey Kane out in front of Joe Nemechek by 4 seconds. Jimmy Johnson a further 2 seconds back. Then Craig Biffle, Jeff Gordon, Elliot Sadler, Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Rusty Wallace, the top 10. Nemechek's had a strong day. Top Chevy in the race for much of the day. Jimmy Johnson, though, trying to close in on that second-place car. A lot of action in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And the Tundra Tale of the Tape. Our two Craftsman Truck owners, Darrell Waltrip and Larry Mack. Right now, Larry leading the points. Carl Edwards, Bobby Hamilton. That's Toyota, Ford, Dodge, Toyota. So we have a contest up, Larry's truck versus Darrell's truck, and we'd like your suggestions at foxsports.com on what a friendly wager ought to be for who's leading the standings by the time we finish up our Fox half of the season at Daytona, 4th of July weekend. Now, of course, it can't be anything of monetary value, but I'm sure we can come up with something.
You know what the moral of the story is here? I think you need to get a second truck.
He got me surrounded, but he already owes me a steak dinner.
Well, that's true. That's true.
He already owes me from Atlanta. I got the pole. I told him he was going to get it.
I think it ought to be something like each other's butler for a day or something. What do you think?
I ain't shining those dirty shoes, I can tell you that.
Well, where are you going to be 2 weeks from Saturday?
I'm going to be at Martinsville up in my number 11 Toyota Tundra.
And where will I be?
And you'll be up in the stand there or up in the tower spotting for me, and Hammond will be sitting on the pit box.
And let's see, with our bet, it'll be DW, 24 truck coming. Let him by.
No way.
Car number 9 has a long history of going to victory lane. Bill Elliott first won in a number 9 car in 1983 at age 28 out of Riverside, California. Beat Benny Parsons for his first Winston Cup win. In 1952, Donald Thomas won at Atlanta's Lakewood Speedway in a number 9 at age 20. The youngest driver ever to win in a car numbered 9. He was driving a Hudson Hornet.
But you know what? I'm going to be very anxious to see here, guys. We're at lap 253. We talked a while ago. These guys pitted at 199. They're going to have to stretch it to about 265, 266 to know that they can make it to the end should we stay green.
And you talk about the number 9, Mike. I mean, this is reminiscent of Bill Elliott back in the 80s when he drove the number 9 and just lapped the field every week. 85, he won like 12 races.
We see Nemechek, and here is Jimmy Johnson, who's currently third. He's not been able to close in. He was about 5.8 seconds back when we came back from break. Now he's 6.3 off the lead. Greg Biffle within sight of Jimmy Johnson, about 1.8 seconds behind Jimmy in this Ford. And in 5th place, Jeff Gordon, 9 seconds off the lead.
This thing has gotten really tight. Not on the exit. The exit's good. It's just getting in and right before the center and in the center.
And, of course, Robbie Loomis's challenge is going to be to make that thing turn better getting into the center, but it don't sound like Jeff Gordon wants it to turn any better on the exit of the corner. They got to be careful and not get him loose off.
Yeah, I think I might just want to tell the driver to deal with that.
Especially since you probably only may have one more opportunity to fix it. You don't want to not fix it.
Yeah.
Unfix it.
6th place car, Elliot Sadler, the second Ford in the race behind Biffle. And in 7th, man who led 23 laps or 26 laps at the top of the day, Bill Elliott, sitting in 6th, 10.5 seconds off the lead. Now, Matt Kenseth has just made a pit stop. Jeremy Mayfield coming to pit road, so we're back into a green flag cycle of stops once again. 8th place, 17 seconds out of 1st, is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Haven't heard a lot out of Junior today. He's just been kind of riding along here in the top 10. Good points today based on the Kenseth problems.
Hope you caught our Busch race yesterday where Dale Jr. sat in one of the Fox production trucks and ran the onboard camera for his driver Martin Truex. Had a little bit of fun with what has to be the world's most expensive video game.
You know, we're riding here with Rusty Wallace, who started 10th on the day and led this race just a little bit in the beginning, made a 2-tire stop, a little bit of a gamble by Larry Carter, and at one point he was on the verge of going a lap down, but he's made a nice rebound here to move back into the top 10. And right behind him is another guy that started the day off not too good, Tony Stewart, in his 20 car. He's up to 10.
And you want to look at Casey Kane just caught up with Jamie McMurray, and he's not mad and he's not trying to get even, but McMurray's not going to pull over and let him go by either. And that's kind of like one of those, I'm sending you a subtle message.
Remember last week when those two got together at Bristol.
think Casey will probably be very cautious in this situation.
And Darrell, we looked at the tape several times. It's really hard to place blame on either Casey Kane or Jamie McMurray, even though Kane got the worst end of that deal.
Yeah, the four car, or the 01 car when it was up in the outside groove. I think that Casey ran up on the back of him. You could see that McMurray had a run on Casey to his door and let him go.
Now, guys, the first of our leaders is on pit road, Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Now, with pitting right here, it'd be very questionable. Can he go? I think it would be about 74 laps to the end. I don't think he could make it, Darrell, so that's an indication he'd have to make another stop.
Casey Kane will pit next time by, and I agree, Darrell. Clearly, there was room for give and take on both drivers' parts, but it'd be hard to lay the blame completely on any one driver in that situation.
Yeah, you could see that McMurray had his fender all the way up to the door, and he saw the traffic, and he saw that it's going to get close. Looked like he was going to let Casey down, and they just clipped.
And Darrell, you talked about it in the beginning. The Evernham cars does not get that good of fuel mileage. Bill Elliott, the 91, he's on pit road, and here comes his teammate, the leader of this race, at least for right now, Casey Kane in the 9, and a whole bunch of them following him.
Boy, I tell you what, he comes in slow. Maybe it's just my perception, but sure looks like he comes in off the slow.
I think you're right. That opened the gate. Jimmy Johnson's in. Joe Nemechek. Here's Dick.
Jimmy Johnson won just a couple of weeks ago in Darlington. Same crew, different car. He took just 2 tires last time out. Chad Knauss's crew chief promised him 4 this time around. Just a tad slow on the left rear. And they are rushing to catch a tire. They did catch it before it crossed the line. Matt.
Service already complete on leader Casey Kane's Dodge. No adjustments. The car near excellent. Service also complete on the 01 of Joe Nemechek. In fact, Larry Mack, on the 9 car, they saved their best set of scuffed tires from the final practice session on Saturday for their final run today.
Well, the good thing about that set of tires, Matt, it's been on the car this weekend yesterday, so that means he knows what the characteristics of those tires are going to feel like.
Dale Jarrett is in. Kevin Harvick is in. Jeff Green, as green flag stops continue, and Jeff Gordon has taken over the race lead.
And this time, but come on, and this time pass through. Watch your pit road speed as you do this.
All right, what that is, that's the communication. Jimmy Johnson in the 48. We saw that tire roll away Dick Bergman talked about. You cannot leave your pit box. All of the equipment is back to the left side of the car. It will be a pass-through penalty. Mike, we've talked about it. Mistakes on pit road.
Tony Stewart comes in.
And he came in too, baby, I'm telling you.
And Ward Burton has hit the wall. Look at the right front on Burton's car. Caution is out. Tony Stewart drives through. He does not stop to try to stay on the lead lap.
Now, who is really in trouble right here is these cars, our lead cars that has made pit stops, which would be Casey Kane, Joe Nemechek, Jimmy Johnson, especially having to come to pit road twice, Greg Biffle and Bill Elliott. But what a break for people like Jeff Gordon, Elliot Sadler, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch, Dave Blaney, and Casey Mears, who have not made their green flag stops.
Good call on Greg Zipadelli's part. He called Tony Stewart to drive on through. Don't stop. Caution out. And that saves Stewart. There's Zippy. And there's Ward Burton, whose car's brought out this caution. I'll show you what happened to Jimmy Johnson that resulted in a penalty drive-through.
See right there, that tire way outside of their pit box. It had to be at least, they divide the car in half, and all of the equipment, including tires and wheels, has to be back to the left side of the car before you can leave your pit box.
Wow, you can be lucky if it can be good, and some days you can be both. Guess who's going to get the free pass? Casey Kane.
Casey?
He had made his pit stop, but he was the first car 1 lap down at the moment of caution, so he'll get to come around.
It's even a bigger break than that for him, Mike, because by coming to pit road when he did a while ago, I think we knew he could not make it to the end. Now he will pit late under this caution, get enough fuel in there as well, so not only will he be back on the lead lap, he's going to have enough fuel to probably go to the end.
He'll have to restart at the tail end of the longest line. Don't know if it's significant, but Ward Burton had just been in the pits 3 laps prior to hitting the wall and knocking him from the race. They're pushing his car back to the garage now. The right front wheel will not turn. Now the pits are not yet open, so they'll come around 1 more lap under caution. That will give Burton's crew a chance to push their car back to the garage and not impede pit stops.
Now, Mike, you mentioned about Tony Stewart in the 20 car. We're looking at our computer score, and even by what they did, he still went a lap down because he was so far behind the leader.
He didn't. The 9 went by him as he was going down pit road. Now, the 48, on the other hand, got out in front of the leader, which is going to keep him from losing 2 laps, I think.
Larry Foyt's car is in the pits with pit road closed. That means he'll have to restart at the tail end of the longest line. So at the moment, we're showing 7 cars on the lead lap. Kane, after the free pass, will be the 8th. Due to caution in the midst of green flag pit stops when Ward Burton hit the wall at lap 266.
Guys, Jeff Gordon in the 24 and Elliot Sadler in the 38, they sure hope the next time they come by that pit road is open. When they went through 1 and 2 the last time, they were all the way down on the apron because when you're up on the banking, the fuel pickup is in the right rear corner. Remember, these guys are just about out of fuel. I think when they go through 3 and 4, you'll see them run down on the apron as they're doing right there. And fortunately, pit road will be open. There's the green flag.
Jeff Gordon among our Chevy points leaders. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2nd overall. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, the leading Chevys in the Nextel Cup points. Matt?
Mike, in fact, I was just talking to Robbie Loomis, and he said he was worried they would even be able to make it back. They were very close to being on the verge of out of fuel. They could not wait to see pit road open. To Nick Berggren.
A very, very fortunate break for Elliot Sadler. His crew chief, Todd Parrott, had just called him in as that caution flag waved. He was able to stay out on the racetrack, stay on the lead lap. To Matt.
Jeff Gordon slides to a stop. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on his Chevrolet. 4-tire change, scuffs going on like a lot of people we've seen today, Steve Burns.
Hey, Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is tight in and tight off. They're going to raise that track bar, and they've also made some air pressure adjustments on his number 8 Chevrolet. Again, tight in, tight off. They put a spring rubber in on the last stop, which helped him turn in the middle. Their service is done.
Look at that white car at the top of the screen coming off pit road. Dave Blaney, who nearly won a Cup race at Atlanta a couple of years ago for Bill Davis, running a limited schedule, hopeful of running a full season. He is one of those lead lap cars. Let's go to his pit.
Well, Dave Blaney was fearful he was going to be the car that caused the caution. The car was getting tighter and tighter. His crew chief, Felipe Lopez, saying, you got to hang in there, guy. We got to get to lap 267. So he was also one of the cars on the apron, fearful that he wouldn't have enough fuel even to come in and pit. They did not want a short pit because they believe this will be their last planned stop. 4 tires, and they are going to raise the track bar for him.
And, Jenny, this is not only a team that only races about once a month. They only perform pit stops once a month, but they rose to the occasion. Their car good. They're stepping up. They came in 7th. They went out 5th.
Jeff Gordon is our leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Rusty Wallace, Kurt Busch, Casey Mears, Elliot Sadler, and Dave Blaney are the lead lap cars in Texas. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Mach 3 Turbo Champion, the only razor used by the Gillette Young Gun. By the new Chevrolet, an American revolution. By Old Spice Red Zone, spice things up. And by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse.
America's best drivers battling it out at the Great American Speedway, and this race break is brought to you by Visa. Jeff Gordon currently our leader with just 63 laps to go. He started 9th. Jeff Gordon creating the first caution of this race on the tail of Casey Mears, tapping him, causing some debris. Gordon working his way back up to the top. Defending champ of this race, Ryan Newman on lap 196, a tire problem, out of the race. commented afterwards that the safer barrier walls are necessary here. Could have made a difference. Bobby Labonte, who led for 5 laps, the pole sitter from Texas, with some alternator and battery problems, falling a few laps down. And Casey Kane passing Nemechek to lead for the 6th time. His first Cup race, he's led more laps than anyone else. And moments ago, pit problems for Jimmy Johnson. Penalty there because of the tire problem. We're getting ready to go green, Jeff
Getting ready to go green right now. The most important thing for Jeff Gordon here is make sure he gets a good, clean start. He's got a lot of these guys nipping at his heels, so he's got to get it done.
One of 4 tracks that Jeff Gordon has yet to win on. Let's go back upstairs. This has been a Visa Race Break.
8 lead lap cars plus 2 cars tail end of the lead lap. Biffle and Elliott.
Green flag, green flag.
Just in front of Jeff Gordon as we go back to green at lap 272.
Of course, Jeff Gordon's teammate, the 48 car, he's up there as well trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap.
And those 2 cars got a good jump.
See on his first lap, Jeff Gordon in the 24 over 180 miles per hour, just getting up to speed off into turn 3 at the end of the backstretch.
Trouble for our points leader.
Well, I don't know what happened to him. He just pulled down. Maybe he just wants everybody to get away from him and leave him alone. He's had that kind of day. He slowed on the back big time. I thought something happened to it.
Matt Kenseth in 24th position.
Inside, slow in front of you, slow in front of you. Inside.
Oh, Elliott's in trouble on the back.
Elliott was on the tail end of the lead lap and now dropping back.
There you see the Fox tracks, about 140 miles per hour in the corner. I think he's trying to get to pit road, but I don't think he'll be able to make it this time.
Too much traffic.
Looks like a right rear tire.
Car wobbles just a bit getting into turn 1, Darrell.
I think it's a right rear tire, looked like.
Funny how slow 160 miles an hour looks like.
And not only that, but just think about Bill. He almost won the last race of the year at Homestead. Yep. Coming off turn 2, coming to the checkered flag and had a tire go down. Dick Berggren.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a flat right rear for Bill Elliott.
And he's in the wall in turn 3. Caution is out, and you see the right rear was already flat.
Yeah, he was trying to get back, save as much time as he could.
Now, one of his teammates, Casey Kane, was the free pass car last time around. And we'll see about Jeremy Mayfield this time around under this caution. Elliott's tire clearly flat as he went in the corner.
I know Bill's okay, and I can't help it. I got to tell you this. When he was at Homestead last year, and I said, Bill, I saw you get out and walk around that car. What was you thinking? He said, wish I had a match.
Now, I think what's going to happen here, guys, is Mayfield is going to get one of his 2 laps back. Greg Biffle will be back on the lead lap, and Jimmy Johnson going to get one of his 2 laps back. Jimmy Johnson and Jeremy Mayfield will still be 1 lap down, but they get one of them back.
And that pass through Tony Stewart made looks like that will finally pay off because he will be the free pass car. Stewart. So caution is out for the 5th time today. What's that?
Jaws is coming. Things are picking up. Business is getting ready to pick up.
I think that's his way of saying the plot thickens.
It sure does. Jeff Gordon, your leader, under caution in the Samsung Radioshack 500. .278 laps complete. When we go back to green, there will be 10 cars on the lead lap. Bill Elliott's, though, has been pushed to the garage after cutting a left rear tire and slapping the wall up in turn number 3. Greg Biffle's made a couple of stops. He'll come back out. And Jeff Gordon has the lead. 4-time Cup Series champion, leads active drivers in that category, and he gets quite a chorus each time he is introduced.
I actually look forward to when my name is introduced, hearing, the crowd's reaction. And I'm actually surprised if I go somewhere and I hear more cheers than boos. It's usually the opposite. And every stage I walk across, because we normally have, either a entertainer, a music star, or a politician or somebody on the stage, and every time I walk across, they're like, what's that for? What's that all about? And I just say, oh, I don't know, and I shake their hands, go get in the car and do my thing.
Gordon doesn't have a bad guy image, which is why some people question how much he gets booed, but he wins an awful lot. Maybe that's part of it. Now, as somebody who knows about the cheers and the boos.
Well, sometimes you deserve them. Sometimes you bring them, egg them on, you know. But Jeff never has. But you got to look at something. He's been around 12 years. 64 wins, 4 championships, driver of the year 4 times. That's a lot of success in a real short period of time, and it tends to tick people off.
Do you ever mind your driver being booed, Larry?
I know his motto was whether they're cheering or whether they're booing, as long as they're making noise, right?
That's all. I guess that's kind of how you have to deal with it, when they're doing that.
And that's what Dale Earnhardt always said. As long as they're making noise, I'm fine. If I ever walk up there and it's silent, I'm all done.
One thing I wouldn't do, though, I would never invite everybody to come meet me at the Kmart.
No, don't do that again. Matt is with Jeff Gordon's crew chief.
Jeff Gordon and company not only working on their first win here at Texas, but their first top 5 finish of the season. Robbie Loomis, how big of a work in progress has it been today to get that car up front?
It's been a ton of work. These DuPont race teams done a great job all day long working on it. It took a while for the season to get a handle on the tire, and today's just been, we've been real good on the long runs. We've kind of been off on the short runs. I'd really like to say hello out there and thank you to everyone praying for my mom and my family. And hang in there, Mom, I need you. And say hello to everyone else. Pop and Rick, too.
We're keeping Papa Joe and Robbie's mom in our prayers. And also, one quick update on the 0-1 of Joe Nemechek. They believe he has a broken valve spring. Tivic Bergman.
While we're talking about cheers and boos, there are only cheers for Bill Elliott, who has just exited his car. Were you having fun out there today?
Well, I had a good time for a little while, but just unfortunate. You know, I knew I had a tire going down. I was trying to get to the back, and it just was one of those days.
This is a team, this is a driver that deserves a sponsor so that we can see more of them.
That's for sure. There's Elliott's car with the right rear down into the wall, taking him out of the race. His teammates, though, Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield, have been very much in contention. Kane has led the most laps today. And what about Dave Blaney? Now, it's taken a while for us to noodle this out, but I've got to explain the sponsor on the right side of Blaney's car. It's Batesville Speedway is his sponsor, and on the right side it says Topless 100. Now, that is a feature race either for convertibles or for wingless sprint cars.
Oh, man, I'm glad you knew what that was.
Jeannie?
My mother's very glad that you clarified that as well, Mom. It's all okay, Ma. It's all okay. I just wanted to update you on Dave Blaney's car. Great debate whether or not they're going to come in during this caution to pit, and basically there was the consensus is even one of the top 4 cars in front of him stayed out. He would stay out. Did 3 green laps is what they decided on the tires at that point. These tires in fresh air much better than 4 stickers and new ones back in about 10th. His crew chief just coming on the radio a little bit ago, Lopez, saying this is going to be a long green, so may the best man win.
Rusty Wallace is one of those lead lap cars after coming so close last week in Bristol. We listened in.
I never believed we had to loosen it up this much, would you? Well, I mean, I know this place gets tight, but I didn't think thought we were pretty good. Yeah, I did too. Man, did it get tight. If that left front's giving up some, though, we're gaining wedge as we go. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. You know, we just took all that wedge out of it, put everything we did really helped it. That rubber really helped it.
And that's his crew chief, Larry Carter. And I know when this move was made over the offseason, a lot of people questioned, would Larry Carter and Rusty Wallace, would they mix? We talked about Greg Biffle and Doug Richer. Every time we listen to their radio communication, it sounds like these guys are mixing, and they're doing a good job of keeping up with the racetrack.
Wallace is 4th behind Jeff Gordon, Elliot Sadler, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. They've waved off the caution. That will allow us to set the field a bit. Dave Blaney is 5th. Casey Mears is 6th. Kurt Busch is 7th, Casey Kane 8th, Greg Biffle is 9th, and Tony Stewart got the free pass up to 10th in front of this enormous crowd at Texas Motor Speedway, a crowd they claim is the 2nd largest of the entire Nextel Cup season.
The one's leaving.
View from the freshly manicured grass. Let me show you how freshly manicured it is. Earlier this morning, our NASCAR on Fox crew was out there to make sure we bring you the best possible pictures.
A little off the sides, please.
Ronnie, what are you doing?
Maybe just a tick off the top.
Nice little trim. All right, Ronnie, back to work. Steve Burns.
Hey, Mike, I'm caught up with Tony Uri Sr. Tony, you guys have thrown everything in this race car. You've adjusted on it hard. Can you make it to the end, and is the car fast enough to get to the front?
Well, we can make it to the end. We was hoping that caution didn't come out because we thought we had something for them on a little fuel mileage deal, but the caution came out, so we adjusted on some more. But the car's just been crazy tight all day long. We just hadn't been able to get it out of it. We've tried everything. Went back to where we started and went in a different direction. And I think we got it a little better there one time, but that last run, I don't know, that set of tires just didn't work real good. So hopefully this adjustment right here will be what it needs, and we can get to the front.
All right, pace car's off.
We gave you the lead lap cars. The 5 cars 1 lap down are Jamie McMurray, Brian Vickers, Mayfield, Johnson, and
green flag, green flag.
Here we go at lap 283. Trouble front straightaway. Wimmer and Mayfield get together. Hard contact. Everyone else will get through. The caution waves again.
Anybody get a lap back there, Larry?
Well, I think Jamie McMurray in the 42 car may get the part possibly back on the lead lap. We'll have to find out from NASCAR.
But no one was ahead of race leader Jeff Gordon, I don't think, at the moment.
Over here to us. Guys, let's see what it looks like there.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick in the 29 was close, but now he's 2 laps down, but I don't think he's going to get anything out because remember, the minute that caution flag waves, the field is frozen.
We've got a saying in Texas about horses, rode hard and put away wet. And that applies to both of these cars. Here's what happened on the restart. Look at the top of your screen at the Cat car.
Oh, he just got jacked up.
Got booted by Brian Vickers.
Brian Vickers, and then turned him right in front of Mayfield.
19 had nowhere to go.
Nope. Chances are that possibly, and maybe Wimmer missed a gear. Always try to think about what I'd say if something like that happened.
Riding with Mark Martin in the 6 car. That was his view.
And Jamie McMurray will be the beneficiary of the free pass. So next restart we'll have 11 cars on the lead lap. This will not be one of them. 284 laps complete in the Samsung Radioshack 500. We're back under caution. Jeff Gordon, your leader. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Sunoco, the new official fuel of NASCAR. Good enough for NASCAR, good enough for your car. We're back under green in Texas. Here's a look at the restart. Jeff Gordon, the lead car. Kevin Harvick in that blue car trying to get back on, or get one of his laps back. He beats Gordon down into turn number 1. As we pick up live 1 lap later, he's out in front of Jeff Gordon, trying to get back toward the lead lap. Now, he was 2 laps down, so now he's 1 lap in distance behind the leader.
Yeah, we've been riding with Kevin Harvick. He has been in this position a lot during this race, trying to get at least one of those 2 laps back.
The long green runs and timing of the pit stops have put a lot of good cars a lap down here today or more. Casey Mears just past Dave Blaney, moved himself up into the 6th spot.
He had a really nice run going at Atlanta, very similar to what he's doing today, and he had an engine failure right near the end of the race. And
Smoker, turn 4, somebody's blown up. Jeff Green.
43 car caution is out, so Harvick will get 1 lap back, and I do believe Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, he will get the pardon. With 40 laps to go, he'll be back on the lead lap.
Boy, I tell you, Casey Kane is not going anywhere either, Larry. He looks like his car doesn't run good in traffic.
And he's not been in traffic a whole lot today.
No, he hasn't had anybody in his way.
All in all, it's not bad. It's not edgy getting started, but it's a little snug.
And you know, we're getting into the last 100 miles here. We talked about in the pre-race, Jeff Hammond down by the cutaway car and the cutaway engine. This is where attrition starts really kicking in with those engines that's been turning 92, 93, 9,400 RPMs all day long, and the speeds just have not slowed down.
And I watched the Formula One race this morning, you know, and they ran an hour and a half, and that was their race. And we run here with 3.5, 4 hours, 500 miles. I mean, that's incredible what these cars are capable of doing. Those engines have been in the car all weekend. Same engine.
Do need to document that Ward Burton is back out of the garage area, out on the racetrack. He's back in 36th position, 31 laps down.
And that Scott Wimmer, despite all that damage from the last caution, still continues in this race. Now, Casey Mears, 6th place, Matt.
Mike, on Thursday, he drove the Fuji blimp today, trying to drive to his first career top 5 finish. He has bounced back from early trouble on pit road. He was caught speeding on exit, had to pit again, started deep in the field. He is now up to 6th. He says the car is a little tight. They made a small air adjustment on the last stop. He is slowly moving ever closer to the top 5.
You know, I really don't look for any of these leaders to come in and pit. Jeannie Zalasko was talking a while ago about Dave Blaney and those guys staying out. We've been talking all day long. A lot of these guys have been putting scuffed tires on that they ran yesterday in practice, and we're not really getting any laps on these tires. Now, I do think possibly Jimmy Johnson, who just got back on the lead lap, he'll come to pit road. He'll have nothing to lose because he has to start at the tail end of the longest line.
Scott Wimmer's got a long pit stop. They're still working on damage to his car from the prior caution flag. There's grass cam, survived intact. A little better than Wimmer's car did. Sport's most bitter rivals. After a classic playoff series and an offseason filled with huge moves and front office sniping. The most anticipated game in many a year, Friday, April 16th, round 1, Yankees-Red Sox, presented by Taco Bell, live, prime time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
I love a rival. Oh, it's a great thing.
Dick Berggren.
With Todd Parrott, I just heard your driver on the radio say that the car is tight, real tight. Have you got a chance to win this race, given that situation?
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully he can drive out of it. Car's been good all day. We've chased it a little bit. Depends on what traffic he's in. A little free in, a little free off, a little bit tight through the center, and just hate to give up track position. You know, got a really good race car, and Elliot's done a great job all day, guys in the pits, and then just see what happens.
Got enough gas?
Oh, yeah, got plenty of gas, yeah. I've already had that problem here in Texas before. I'm not going to have it again.
All right, good for you. Mike?
Darrell, he wants him to drive out of it. How do you drive through a push and make that car work for you?
Well, you just got to use the throttle. You back off a little bit early, or else just drive it in hard and let the car take a set and drive it off hard. Depends on what the car's doing. The driver has to understand that and then accommodate it accordingly.
Steve?
Hey, Mike, listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr., he says that his car is turning better. They've been fighting a tight race car all day, but he said he's very good going down the back stretch, but he's not as good coming down the front stretch.
Jeannie.
Dave Blaney deciding to make the trip down pit road, realizing it may cost him 2 to 3 positions, but Lopez, the crew chief, saying, hey, it is worth it to make the car better. Car's loose in, way sideways, and he ends up way tight off, so they make the proper adjustments, hope to gain the track position back. Chris?
Jeannie, this is National Autism Awareness Month, and here at the Great American Speedway, taking part as Jamie McMurray, driver of the 42 Ganassi Dodge, currently 11th, donating money to autism research. For every lap led this year, he's already raised thousands of dollars for the cause, and the Texas Motor Speedway also offering support, marking the Great American Speedway with the symbol for autism awareness, and there's the number and the website if you'd like to help out. Mike?
Thank you, Chris. McMurray is now back on the lead lap. He is in 10th place. 11 cars on the lead lap, including Blaney, who just pitted. And our leader, Jeff Gordon, whose best finish this year is 8th in the Daytona 500. Kurt Busch, whose best finish is 1st last week at Bristol. We listened in.
I should be jumping coming out of the corner, and I should be unraveling wheel. I got to give it more because we're on the flat. The car's not turning. We got to fix that.
All right, we'll just stay out there.
Yeah, 10-4. We got to fix that next time. That's what we struggle with every time we come here. I could run hard, but I got a lift coming out of the corners because it goes flat and the front tires won't turn.
Gotcha.
You know, Darrell, what I like about that information he's given Jimmy Finney, he pretty much knows he's not going to be able to fix it for this race, but they'll be making notes all the way to the conclusion of this race, because we will be coming back here a year from now, and they'll want to make sure they know what the car did late in the race, where they can try to work on that for the next time here.
And again, that's aero. I mean, you can pull it down with the shocks, get a little better aero package, but we heard Kenseth complain about that. Mike made a comment about the Roush aero package. Maybe it's something they need to work on.
Casey Kane dominated much of this race. He now finds himself in 7th place, Matt.
Mike, a number of times this year we've seen Casey Kane bounce back in the later stages of a race, make a big run, and come up with a 2nd or 3rd place finish. Currently, he will restart from the 7th position. We've talked a lot about that number 9 Dodge being just a tick on the tight side today. Right before that caution, Casey told crew chief Tom Baldwin Jr. the car is as free as it's been all day, which Larry Mack is going to be very good considering all the traffic he's going to have to work through to get back to the front.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, we keep talking, you want the car just neutral, not loose, just a little on the free, because like Darrell just started talking about, these cars are wanting to not turn or push in traffic.
And the thing about it is, he's not going to restart 7th. He is going to be 7th in line. He's going to restart 14th because he's got cars to his inside, so he's got to deal with those too.
Now, 2 cars have come in for tires on this caution. We've had 3 cautions within a space of 20 laps. One of them is Jimmy Johnson. The other is Dave Blaney. They will have fresh tires when we go back to green.
And as we were just looking, it looks like we maybe will have some major adjustments on that 48 car, but why not roll the dice? You're going to restart this race back in about 12th position, so go ahead and roll the dice. He's going to get the free pass back on the lead lap, and let's see if we can beat these guys in this last 30 or 35 laps. If you just do the same thing each pit stop, you're probably not going to get up there and beat these guys.
Well, you know Chad, he's going to try something.
Jeff Gordon's our leader. His last victory came on a track much like this one, Atlanta Motor Speedway, another of the nation's fastest 1.5 miles, last October.
So I like it. Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like his position. Car's been pretty decent all day. Everybody says that, you know, we've noticed when you're out front, whether it was Nemechek or Casey Kane, whoever it's been, they seem to be able to get away from everybody.
And of course, of our lead lap cars that came in and got tires, you know, Dave Blaney was one of them we talked about. He was going backwards. There's no sense in staying out there if you're going backwards. Make that thing better.
Dick Berggren.
Well, today, Kurt Busch has been running really fast, right around 200 miles an hour. On Tuesday, he heads to New York City, where he's going to go a little bit slower in a 2005 Ford Escape SUV hybrid through the city streets. This is a gas-electric car. He is part of a team that's going to run this thing until they run it out of gas. The estimate, it's going to take right around 36 hours in order to accomplish that, because this neat little SUV, believe it or not, has a self-charging electric system. That's a long way between pit stops, Mike Joy.
Yes, it is. That's a long way. I bet he wishes he had that kind of system here. Skip a pit stop or two, but Kurt Busch is in the thick of things in 5th place, trying for his 2nd victory in as many weeks. And look who he's got a battle right there for position just in front of him. The man he had to beat to the finish line at Bristol, Rusty Wallace. So it's Gordon, Sadler, Earnhardt Jr., Wallace and Busch, the first 5. Casey Mears, Casey Kane, Stewart, Biffle, McMurray, Blaney, and Johnson on the lead lap.
Yeah, and Stewart, I mean, there he is back up in 8th place. Wasn't too long ago, he was a lap down, so he's made a great recovery.
Just saw a very intense Budweiser crew, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew, watching on. They pretty much, you know, for the most part, you've done all you can do for that race car. It's up to that driver and that car in these last 33 laps to step it up and get it done.
There will be 33 laps to go here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Samsung Radioshack 500.
Where's off? You ready?
Man, creeping on.
You're bringing them down about 50 miles per hour.
Green flag.
Makes for a drag race style restart. Gordon heads him off into 1.
I think he wanted to do that. I think he wanted to be able to get that jump on Bobby Labonte so he could clear him.
Now, Bobby Labonte, remember after that battery change about 100 laps ago, he's actually 4 laps down, so he would not be eligible for the free pass, obviously. He'd just like to get one of those laps back.
Smoke on Scott Wimmer. That car had a lot of repair. Rusty and Kurt Busch. Busch working around the outside of the deuce.
Rusty's trying to figure out who to follow.
Right now, he's trapped behind the 31 car of Robbie Gordon. Robbie's 3 laps down back in 24.
He's not trapped. He's going to make it 3 wide.
He made a pretty good choice. There goes Bush on the outside.
Boy, he drove her down in there, Darrell, and it stuck that 97 car.
Should have the momentum off the corner here.
Their task is to keep the leaders from getting away. And the front 4 trying to do just that.
That was really wise. Clear all around. He didn't race for Rusty. Got him behind him.
But here comes Casey Kane up the outside, and Casey Mears right behind them, 2 abreast. But now Mears gets in line.
Yeah, I think Kurt looked in his mirror and he said, you know, if I go in here side by side with Rusty, those 2 cats behind me are going to take advantage of me. I'm going to get in behind him and draft him.
You know what, DW? Bobby Labonte in the 18 car, he obviously, as he showed early in the race, he has a good race car. He's just sitting there kind of in the saddle between our first place car, Jeff Gordon, in the 24, and Elliot Sadler in the 38. You know, if Jeff Gordon is a little bit tight, Bobby Labonte being up behind him may neutral that car out just a little bit, possibly.
Imagine Jeff sitting there saying, come on, buddy, push me.
Because as you said earlier, the draft will play a role in here.
Oh, yeah, it's not big. I mean, it's not like Daytona or Talladega, but it's
outside is clear. Went back. Outside.
And there are 3 cars are 1 lap down. The rule is that lap cars line up on the inside lane. But a car 4 laps down does not have to give way to a car only 1 lap down. The order they're in is the order in which they line up as Casey Kane goes past Rusty Wallace for 4th.
But trust me, you don't forget about that.
No.
When you go down the road somewhere.
Right. You can let a 1 lap down car go around you, but you're not obligated to.
But once you let one go by you, you have to you supposedly let them all go by you.
Now that Casey Kane in the 9 car has cleared Rusty Wallace, we're going to watch our scoring monitor to see now that he's in clear traffic if he indeed will be quicker than Jeff Gordon. He was a little slower, but he had to go around Rusty Wallace. Now he's having to deal with the lap car, 10 car of Scott Riggs. But will he have enough time with 28 laps to go?
He's coming in a hurry, buddy. I'm telling you. That car has just been awesome. I don't think I've seen a car that dominant this year.
He is 0.3 of a second faster than race leader Jeff Gordon.
Maybe not in the last couple of years, come to think of it.
Might be something with the motor there. Just baby it all you can.
Yeah, Gordon's off the pace.
And you just heard him say maybe something in the motor. Just try to baby this thing home. Elliot Sadler just takes the lead. What's wrong, Matt Yoakum?
He came on the radio and told Robbie Loomis in the 24 team something is coming apart in the motor. You can see him dip to the inside. The leaders pass by. Tough break for Gordon, trying to score his first top 5 this season. Possible battery, he says. Possible battery, Larry Mack.
Boy, we are hearing a lot of possible battery problems, alternator problems here today. This will be the 3rd one.
Last time I heard all this going on with batteries, everybody was trying the new, dry cell batteries and trying some stuff with batteries and alternators, trying to pick up a little more power. May have bitten them today.
Now he looks like he has picked the pace back up, but as we watch Casey Kane in this 9 car, look at there, he's chopped about 3/4 of a second off Elliot Sadler's lead in about the last 2 or 3 laps. He is coming.
That gap is going to drop faster than the thermometer at sundown here in Texas. 3:09 complete of 3:34, 25 to go. Casey Kane with plenty of time. But now the man he's trying to run down is Elliot Sadler and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Just like gunslingers, though, the close to the top you get, the harder they are to knock off.
And that time, Elliot Sadler beat Casey Kane by 2/10 that lap. Elliot Sadler has that clean racetrack out there in front of him. He shouldn't have to deal with any traffic.
And I think, Larry, we've talked about this. Last year, Elliot Sadler's whole season turned around right here for the worst. I mean, when he spun off turn 2 over and wrecked that car that he liked so much, he never really recovered.
Sadler has led 24 laps today. As Larry pointed out, first time a Robert Yates car has led this year. So hoping to turn that whole team's fortunes around today.
He ran the fastest lap again of anyone out there. Next time, Bobby, 22 to go.
And again, he's out front, clean air. We've been hearing that all day. And this track, I can see why. You get the good bit of aero push here. So if you're out front, that's a good deal.
His last lap was only 5/100ths quicker than the 9 car of Casey Kane. But Casey Kane is now pulling down on and having to deal with Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 2nd place. 4 450 miles of this, and wouldn't you know it had come down to a Ford, a Chevy, and a Dodge.
It does every week. It does every week.
Amazes me. It really does.
But Darrell, you talked about Elliot Sadler's season last year. Just remember, he came to this race team at the beginning of last year thinking that Michael Fatback McSwain was going to be his crew chief. Right before the season, he left that race team. Elliot Sadler had no crew chief. He went through 2 or 3 crew chiefs last year. Todd Parrott stepped in the latter part of last year. And there you see Todd Parrott, and you could see this team come to life those last 5 or 6 races. Battle for second heats up. Casey Kane in that 9 car goes to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. They're side by side through 3 and 4. We'll come back to the line with 20 to go.
Junior should fall right there in behind Casey and just follow him. If he doesn't, he's going to have Gordon in his rearview mirror.
To the 24.
Clear to the 24, they tell Casey Kane. That is 1.5 seconds away with 20 laps to go.
And Darrell, wouldn't you say it's safe to say, you know you're running so fast here, how sensitive it is to hit your marks? That's what Elliot Sadler has to focus on. He can't worry about how fast the 9 car is.
All he needs, he knows he's coming. So when's he going to get here, or is he going to get here?
Last win for Robert Yates Racing. Last year at Rockingham in February with Dale Jarrett. Been over a year.
What you don't want to have now is a caution flag of any significance.
No, Elliot Sadler does not need a caution flag.
No, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Laps are winding down in a hurry.
Smoker in 1. I think that's Wimmer again. That's tire smoke, it appears. Nothing of great importance. He keeps on.
Well, we saw the Busch race yesterday get a red flag because of or a caution flag at the end of the day because of a car that was 104 laps down.
Elliot Sadler leading by 1.2 seconds over hot rookie Casey Kane. Sadler's first career top 10 finish as a then Winston Cup driver came right here in Texas in 1999. Casey Kane in second and closing. Sadler trying for his second career win. Casey Kane, the second place driver, trying to rebound from a very tough week at Bristol that saw him competitive but ending up in the fence.
Even yesterday he had problems here in the Busch race. Got into an accident. Not of his own making.
No.
Happened here on the front straightaway. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But such a talent that 2 manufacturers, Ford and Dodge, fought over his services in the offseason.
And you know, he reminds me of Bill Elliott. You look at him, you talk to him. You know, Bill never, I don't mean this unkindly to Bill, but Bill never looked like he was a race car driver. He never looked like he ought to go out there and do what he does. And Casey's a lot that way. Young, timid kid.
You know, whatever happened to Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, he's right here behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is the battle for third. That car is definitely in good shape right now, but they are almost 3 seconds behind our leader right now, Elliot Sadler. But guys, the last 2 laps, Elliot Sadler, the 38 car, he has had about the quickest car by about a half a tenth.
16 car, I think, is off the pace, guys. Is that 16?
Yep. Biffle coming to pit road, very strong in the early going.
Smoking out of.
He was running in the 9th position in the top 10.
That'll move Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson, Dave Blaney up the leaderboard as Biffle goes to the garage.
I mean, this pace has just not slowed down. Casey Kane ran his quickest lap about 10 laps ago of this race.
Rusty Wallace about 2/10 off the leader, running in 5th place, the second Dodge in the race. Right behind him, the man who beat him to the line in Bristol 1 week ago, Kurt Busch. Busch is 6th. Casey Mears has closed right down on Kurt Busch, trying to equal his career best finish.
See, Casey Mears just keeps getting better every week, Larry. It seems like the car and the crew and he, as a driver, have really, really improved over last year.
And I think what really happened was he got some confidence last year. He went and ran those ARCA races. I think he won 1 or 2 of them, and that gave him confidence that, hey, I can do this.
Tony Stewart was coming down pit road when a caution came out. Took a while for things to cycle through and him to get back on the lead lap. He's 8th. And Jimmy Johnson likewise took advantage of a free pass on a caution flag. Moved up into the top 10, as did Jamie McMurray on the next to most recent caution flag. McMurray also on the lead lap. Now, Jimmy Johnson and Dave Blaney, who we're about to see in 11th place on the lead lap, both got fresh tires on this last caution, Larry, but it didn't seem to move them along.
Yeah, and you heard them say the reason they came to pit road is the car was going backwards. It was not driving that good, and evidently they didn't either make enough adjustments, or certainly the fresh tires did not fix it. Guys, we're going to have a race for that lead here in just a few laps. Now Casey Kane is about a 10th quicker than Elliot Sadler each lap. Right now he's a half a second behind him, a 10th a lap, 11 to go. You do the math.
Half a second. You can measure that in car lengths here.
Well, when he gets to him, of course, he's been so good all day, I can't imagine that he won't be able to find a way around. But I got to believe that Elliot's going to make that car awfully wide when he gets there.
10 to go.
Matt?
He's knocking down about 2 to 3/10 of a lap faster than the 38 car is Casey Kane. Now, many people may wonder, well, when did Casey Kane pop up on Ray Evernham's radar? Was it last year or possibly even a year and a half ago? You have to go back to Speed Weeks 2000. Ray was out of the Volusia County dirt track watching New Jersey sprint car legend Billy Pouch, and he saw Casey Kane out there. He said, looked like he shouldn't even have a driver's license, but a guy by the name of John Bickford made the introduction. Jeff Gordon's stepfather. The rest, they say, history.
Elliot Sadler's lead is about to be history. It's been 108 races since Sadler won Bristol 2001. Casey Kane's about to be right on his bumper, but only 9 laps remain.
And Bickford put Ray Evernham and Jeff Gordon together. He saw the combination there, and he put that together. So got a good eye for talent, obviously.
There are your leaders.
8 to go.
Well, Casey come up off the bottom. I think he's really pouring that thing down in there right now.
And you know, guys, I said they would probably not catch any lap traffic. They may catch some lap traffic here in about 4 or 5 laps. I see Larry Fort in the 14 car, Johnny Sauter in the 30, so they may catch these lap cars.
Matt Kenseth was our points leader coming into this race, and he's going to end up with a 16th place finish, it looks like. He's a couple laps down, 2 laps down to be exact.
Pretty good recovery for a guy that got caught in the pits, hit the wall, done everything he can do. Yeah. Still finished in top 20.
They've done what won them a championship last year. They took good days and turned them into great days. They've taken a bad day and turned it into a good day.
And that is their strength, making the car better as the race goes along. Dick Berggren on the leader.
And in a situation like this, you might wonder if the crew chief or the spotter would be talking to the guy in the lead and encouraging him to do better, encouraging that he could win this race. Absolute silence on Elliot Sadler's radio. They are being quiet to let him think this out, do what he's got to do to win it. And Dick, Darrell, Mike, what I'm seeing right now, Casey Kane, he's caught Elliot Sadler. We'll have 6 to go this time, actually 5 to go. He's moved that car to the top side. He's keeping that thing wound up, keeping the RPMs up on that motor.
I think he realizes that Elliot's not going to give up the bottom. So he's going to have to try to find a way around on the outside. He's really good down here in 3 and 4. Just mediocre in 1 and 2, but he really gets a run on him when he goes high down here in 3 and 4.
After finishing 41st at Daytona, Casey Kane ripped off finishes of 2nd, and 3rd before falling to 13th at Darlington and falling out early at Bristol.
Right there, Darrell, that's where you're talking about. A good run off turn 4. He pulls into about a car length of Elliot Sadler. 4 laps to go.
Sadler has won top 5 this season at Darlington and a 6th place at Vegas.
Elliott's a little bit better in 1 and 2 right now if he hits his marks. But down here on the other end, I think is where Casey is going to get that thing up on the outside.
You're right, Darrell. Casey knows that Elliott's not going to give up the bottom of that racetrack.
No red flag from here on out. If the caution comes out, it's over. A 3-lap shootout.
He got about another half a car length, 3 laps to go.
I believe if he ever gets a run on him off the 4, there could be a last lap pass here coming to the line.
They may catch Johnny Sauter in that 30 car. He's about 15 car lengths out there in front of him.
He ain't got nothing for you, 1 or 2, man. Just hit your marks down here.
There goes Casey to the high side again. He got a run right there in the middle of the corner.
Just looking. You all right, buddy?
Ooh, he's touched the wall, I think, with the right rear.
2 to go. And you know what? Of these 200,000 people, no one is sitting down.
Nope. Boy, Sadler took it deep into turn 1 and opened up a big lead. 2 car lengths.
That could be the difference right there. I know Casey's good in 3 and 4, but I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be able to get alongside of him.
But here's his strong point, Darrell. He runs it in high through 3 and 4. Elliot Sadler gets a good bite on the bottom. They'll be coming to the white flag this time.
Now we need that 30 car to get out of the way. Here he comes on, looking outside, looking outside. This is his move right here. He saved this. He saved the outside move, if it'll work or not.
And right there where Elliot Sadler been the strongest through the middle of 1 and 2. They're going to run up on the lap car. Johnny Sauter, half a lap to go.
And Casey Kane almost ran out of racetrack exiting turn number 2.
He's got one more shot, boys. It's going to be right here.
Lap car is going to cause it. Lap car is going to cost Elliot Sadler the race.
I don't know, Darrell. I believe Elliot Sadler shut the door high on him. He's going to shut the door high on him.
Sadler had to look for Sauter. Here comes Kane. Sadler by half a car length.
I thought that lap car was going to cost him a race.
Johnny Sauter did all he could do to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Elliot Sadler had to lift for a moment to be able to clear Sauter, and that almost handed the race to Casey Kane. Margin of victory, 3/100ths of a second.
And Casey Kane's lost 2 races now by just a few hundred. Rockingham and now today.
Less than a car length. Jeff Gordon finishes 3rd, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 4th, Rusty Wallace 5th, Kurt Busch 6th, Casey Mears 7th, Tony Stewart 8th, Jimmy Johnson 9th, Jamie McMurray 10th.
Robert Yates Racing will go to victory lane for the first time in over a year.
Wear it out, son. Wear it out.
Need some donuts, though.
Oh, yeah. Hello, boy.
Celebrate, and you know, Casey Kane may be starting to feel like Harry Camp with his 3rd second-place finish.
These Texas fans, they love a burnout.
He had a great car again today. Kane did. It just Elliot got out there and he couldn't get around him.
Elliot Sadler will move from 9th to 5th in the NASCAR and Nextel Cup standings. Here it is.
Casey Kane gets that run off turn 4 on the high side. You see Johnny Sauter, that lap car right there. Yeah. There's the difference.
I think Elliot was actually going to try to draft off of the 30 car. Then he realized Kane's coming on the outside, and he had to move up.
Did they bump?
It didn't notice it if they did.
Half a car length.
28/1000ths of a second.
500 miles later, it comes down to that. I love it, you know?
Well, that's why this place was full right to the finish with nearly 200,000 fans.
And Todd Parrott, I know that's got to be a big deal for him.
Yes, it is.
Back in the battle again. We've been missing him. We needed him to come back.
Well, Elliot Sadler has cooked it as he pulls into victory lane. Chris Myers.
All right, thank you. Time for the Nextel post-race show. Nextel. It puts people in touch with each other. Proud sponsor of NASCAR and the Nextel Generation, the Points Championship. With Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers down here. That scene you see, victory lane where we are. Elliot Sadler just pulling in right behind us.
Right behind us.
Celebrate. He'll be
donning one of these. That's one of the things the crew gets as well as the driver.
How about the way he held off, especially with that lap car there? Darrell was concerned with Casey Kane coming on at the end.
I tell you right now, it really showed a lot of maturity on both of his part, because I really didn't know which way it was going to turn out, because it looked like 1 minute Elliot was going to throw the block high, then all of a sudden he kind of pulled low, but both of them did an excellent job, and I know this young man driving this 38 car is going to put on one heck of a show here in the victory lane as far as that's concerned when he gets out of this race car.
All right, 3/100ths of a second, just a Sunday 500-mile drive for Elliot Sadler here in victory lane. Elliot's a little tired. Maybe wants to get out of that car and celebrate.
He'll get out here in a minute.
For that.
Yeah.
Steve Burns is somewhere beneath all the confetti, but he's with Elliot Sadler.
Elliot, it took you 75 starts to get your first win, but then 108 to get your second. How sweet is this win in Texas, and how'd you do it, man?
It's M&M sweet. To be able to go to victory lane with Robert Yates and M&M's, it's unbelievable. We thought we had a good car yesterday, and they proved it to me again today. We got it out front. It was clean. Casey raced me clean. He's going to be a great champion one day. But let's got to thank all the guys back in the shop, the motor room. Great job, the fab shop. My family, I wish you were here with me right now and share this with me. But to be able to do it at a track where I got such great race fans, and it's a great place, one of my favorite tracks. So I'm so proud of M&M's, Combos, Snickers, Ray Bestis, Pedigree Dog Food, Ford, Taurus. Everybody's involved with this race team.
And Elliot, I know you're proud too of your niece. It's Autism Awareness Month, and that's got to mean a lot as well.
It does. I mean, we just announced our Race for Hope here a couple weeks ago, and it is April Autism Awareness Week, and I think about Haley Drew just about every day, and Kay, I haven't been home in about a couple months to see her, so I'll get to go home tomorrow and share this with my family, and we're eating at the barn Tuesday night, everybody.
All right, thanks. Congratulations. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Casey Kane, third for the third again in your career, finishing second. I know you're excited about the finish, but how much disappointing is it to be so close yet again?
It really is disappointing. I mean, this time we had Tommy Baldwin and this whole Dodge Dealers UAW team gave me the best car. I mean, we had the car to beat all day long, and we got back under that whole deal that happened, and then NASCAR ran so many yellow flag laps that we couldn't get back to the front. I mean, we had them covered, and we just couldn't get back there. So it's disappointing, but you know, Ray Evernham was spotting. We had a good race. I mean, it was exciting, and you know, just about won it there at the end.
Dodge, for the 5th time this year, comes close to victory lane, but not close enough. To Dick Berggren.
Jeff Gordon takes third, his best finish of the year, but he was almost first. What happened to that engine?
Well, you know, I'm trying not to be too bummed out right now because third right now is a great finish for us. We've needed this finish. I can't wait to get to Martinsville, but it's a shame for the DuPont Chevrolet. You know, everything was falling into place for us. I think an alternator started to drain the battery, and I hit every switch except for the battery, and I finally got to the battery, and it came back to life. And you know, unfortunately, we had to let those guys go when that happened, but. You know, I got to be happy. I mean, this season's been kind of crazy for us. Texas now turned into one of our best tracks, and you know, I'm just real thankful that you're interviewing me, and that you know, I'm going to go to the media center after the race. It's been a while for that, so hopefully this will start a great string for us, and we can go to Martinsville and kick some butt.
Congratulations, Jeannie.
Boy, speaking of good tracks for a particular driver, that would be the case for Dale Earnhardt Jr., another top 5 for your team this year. Congratulations. Was the car good enough to win? Just not enough time left?
Well, no, we didn't have a good car. We really didn't have a whole lot going for us today. A lot of mistakes on pit road, and I couldn't give them the information I needed to get the car right, and we just couldn't get the push out of it. Never really could get it to turn. We was pretty good at the start of the race and just kind of worked ourselves out of the ballpark. We were just real lucky at the end to catch that caution and be out on the racetrack and get a lot of guys a lap down. Got track position and tried to hold on to some of it. A couple of them got by me at the end, but we were real lucky to be in the top 5 today. But it was a good run, and that's what it takes, you know, just adding points every week and try not to take away too many.
If that was bad, I think good would be scary. Guys?
All right, thanks. And the new points leader is Kurt Busch. Elliot Sadler here in victory lane with us. But Casey Kane, not enough can be said about his second place finish for the rookie who will turn 24 years old on Saturday.
I'll tell you right now, an awesome run, awesome display by the Ray Evernham operation, and it's a great bounce back.
Clear, block the high side. Block the high side. You're good right there. Do what you're doing. Do what you're doing. You all right, buddy? Block him high. Block him high. Hello, baby. Hell yeah. Oh, good job, guys. Damn. Come on, Fred. You did a good job right there, Fred. Thank you.
Huh?
That close one.
Sights and sounds at the Great American Speedway. Elliot Sadler being congratulated by Dale Earnhardt Jr. That was a spotter. Brett Griffin guiding him home, holding off Casey Kane. Let's get some final thoughts from victory lane here at the Texas Motor Speedway and go back upstairs to rejoin Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
Boy, Darrell, you know, those two almost got together right at the end there.
I don't know.
That was close.
I don't know where the barn is. I think it might be an Emporium. Bologna burgers for everybody.
But you know, Mike, we talked about it in the beginning of the show. No mistakes on pit road could be the difference. Casey Kane by far had the fastest car, but because Todd Parrott elected to leave Elliot Sadler out there for an extra lap or two after those green flag stops, they cashed in by not getting a lap down and went on to win the race.
And Chris Sadler made a big jump in the Nextel Cup points with this win today.
thanks very much. We're down here with Elliot Sadler and his crew chief, and Jeff Hammond, congratulations again on this. Where's your cowboy hat?
I gave it to Todd. He was making all the shots today and had the car the best it was at the end. And I was trying to make it wide enough to hold off Casey, and it worked out good. So it's a great win for M&M's, Robert Yates, and everybody. I'm glad to get a forward here in Victory Lane.
So the thing right now that Todd walks up to me and he says, "Hey, do I look stupid in the cowboy hat?" I said, "No way, buddy. You in Victory Lane right now, baby. Looking good."
Now I know you had an athletic scholarship, right, for Lefty Drizel. You had a little injury there, and we'll check out the points real quick. Elliot, certainly you're part of the points up to 5th now, right? Looking pretty good. Cool. Are you aware of that?
Hey, I like that. That's good. I'm glad we got to read that. But it just, to come to a track that you love so much, and I love the fans down here. They always welcome you to the state of Texas, and I've always just had a good knack for this track since I got here. So to be able to win here is very, very special. So I got to thank Eddie Gotchis and all his guys for hosting us a great race weekend, and just cool to put his car in Victory Lane.
All right, congratulations again. Thanks for a great finish, all right? And as you had a look at the points, we saw that Kurt Busch obviously moving up to the top of the points race, as Elliot's got some celebrating to do. Next Saturday, Jeff, the Winston Cup, or I should say the Nextel Cup guys get a break, and it's on to Nashville.
Yeah, I'll be over in Nashville next week with the Busch Series, and we'll have a really exciting race over there, I'm sure, and then right on into Martinsville in 2 weeks, and it'd be real interesting to see what kind of momentum this 38 team can carry into Martinsville.
And Jeff Gordon, who said he was happy to finish in the top 5, back-to-back wins in Martinsville, somebody who will be worth watching as he tries to hang around the points race as well.
Yeah, another good run by those guys. Got a little bit of momentum coming into them, but what a great race here today. Finally got some side-by-side racing and a great finish.
Elliot Sadler holding off Casey Kane in the end at the Great American Speedway. 200,000 fans sitting through 500.